The college football experience week 2 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football best ball. Hop on over there, underdogfantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 2 reaction show. We're hitting all these crazy buttons over here. Yes, it is fun. We've been consuming cocktails and watching football for 24 hours. I feel like, holy hell. This Saturday, week 2, certainly might have delivered for some, might have disappointed for others. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hop on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. As we currently have games going on, we'll talk about that in a second. But if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, tailless pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're gonna pay for it. Good night.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Not even having the greatest day gambling here. I gotta be honest. Slightly down right now, but some action still out there. I can still make money.
There you go.
I can still make money. It's possible for me to make money if a couple of these hit. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Up.
Let's get it going.
Yeah, boy.
Let's get it going. I mean, you got just your Wahoo's won, JMU won. It might not have been pretty.
Hey, survive in advance. You said it best, buddy.
Yes, survive in advance. Obviously, right now it is late 9:10 Pacific, and currently we have some games, buddy. Boise State up 6 in Eugene in Autzen in the third quarter.
And speaking of which, we have a late slide by Dylan Gabriel that's under review.
Oh, please.
Of course.
And of course, it's the defender's fault. Absolutely ridiculous. All these refs. Can anybody send me the information for whoever is in charge of the rules? Like, I would like to just send them tape, and if anybody has any information, did they just kick him out?
I think so.
Absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, who made these rules?
Let's not go down this rabbit hole.
No, I could do an hour right now on this. What are you supposed to do, you absolute pieces of shit? Yeah, Boise's up 6. Currently, I mean, we got games going on. USC's up 17-0 in the second. Oregon State is up 7 at half to San Diego State. Arizona State's up 17 and about to score, it looks like, against Mississippi State. New Mexico State is up 8 on Liberty at halftime. Fresno's up by 15 on Sac State. Washington State also up 17 on Texas Tech. And then how about this one? Arizona up 3 on Northern Arizona deep into the third. Woo! And how about this one for the FCS? So you have Northern Arizona, Big Sky represent. Southern Utah currently up 7 at UTEP with 1 minute left.
Woo!
Thunderbirds could they get a big time FBS win? We shall see, but I think this has been what's yeah. I mean that targeting play is just. I hate Dylan Gabriel. I really do. Like I like.
He's Levy's number one protege.
The fact that this has crept into the game everywhere is, I think, the worst thing that's happened.
The fact
to football.
that he is such a routine offender of it.
Yeah, and no one wants to talk about That's why it's all bullshit. No one cares about player safety. It's all a masquerade. It's all nonsense. This. If they really cared, they would address this, but they never do. Yeah. So it's the same way with the domes.
They kick the player out.
It's the same way with the dome. Yeah, they kick the player out. Poor guy just playing defense. It's okay. Pro offense. Yeah. Let's just destroy the fucking sport that's been around for 200 fucking years. All right, you absolute pieces of trash. Patty C. We had ball games today. All right, and let's just start.
Start at the top.
Let's
start with the main game.
Texas 31. Now look. I like to root against Texas at all costs. I was even willing to lose my money, but I bet Texas back on like July 3rd or something, -3 against Michigan, whatever the hell that was.
That was amazing foresight.
That was easy. Yeah. Michigan's not going to have any offense.
I will say when I called moneyline A, let's admit that was an idiotic call on my part, but B, that was a lot of that with my heart because I do hate Texas.
I hate Texas too, but I just thought there was money to be made. There was gold in them there hills in Ann Arbor. Student section left all early. It was great to see. Oregon just scored a touchdown, so glad to see they could use that penalty to get a touchdown to take a 1-point lead now against Boise. Absolute horseshit. We will also preach on some other questionable things that happened in football today. It's a normal college experience show. Subscribe, tell a friend. Patty C, how for real is Texas and how for real is Michigan? Like, is Michigan? I don't think Michigan's a playoff contender. I thought Fresno had that as a 6-point game. I wonder if Jeff Tedford was coaching Fresno, what would that game?
I just figured the offense would have taken a step forward in week 2. It looks like it is nowhere to be found. Davis Warren can't hit a wide open receiver. He airmails it.
They missed the extra point.
Oh man!
So we are all knotted up, tied. Boise and Oregon.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't trust Michigan's offense. I don't see them as a playoff team right now. Although Oregon was circled on the calendar as a potential loss in the Big House. That is looking less likely to be the case. Still, Ohio State almost certainly a loss for Michigan if things stay the same as they are right now. So is a 2-loss Michigan in? Maybe.
Dude, Michigan's going to lose more games than
probably, another loss.
Like I'm telling you, if Fresno had that as a 6-point game, to me, when they go to Illinois is a losable game. When they go to, they play all these other games.
Indiana,
seems like that's what I'm saying. Game. I'm not buying in that Michigan's a playoff contender right now.
Yeah.
Now, could they still make the playoffs? Sure, but like
they're not winning anything.
Yeah, I just don't buy into this offense. Yeah. And Texas, on the other hand, now Texas is an interesting one because
Texas
they should have won by more today. Actually, like I thought they left a couple points on the board, but like they were dominant in this game. The score is just a 19-point win. I actually feel like they won by 40.
Yeah, I don't think I realized just how good their offensive line is to completely, essentially dominate Michigan's defensive line. Super impressive. Michigan's defensive line.
I think Texas has the best offensive line in college football.
So they are gigantic, and they were opening huge gaps, and they were protecting Quinn Ewers.
This was an easy handicap, though, in my opinion, because Michigan can't pass the ball. What is the downside of like Texas was a bottom 15 pass defense
and a great rush defense?
Yes. So to me, I would have said this had they played in the playoffs last year. I think Texas would have beat Michigan.
Yeah, I
think it was a perfect matchup for Texas, and the fact that they didn't play because Washington, which is the exact last year's Washington, not this year's, is the exact type of team that could exploit, and that's why they never trailed that whole game.
Yeah. That was a serendipitous matchup arrangement for Michigan last year in the playoffs because they could beat Alabama. Obviously they could beat Washington, but I think you're right. I think Texas might have gotten the better of Michigan last year. Michigan had more weapons. JJ McCarthy, obviously an entirely different story, but still, yeah, when you're the strength of your offense,
Texas could have banged with them. They're 2 defensive tackles, or what, top 2 on draft picks or whatever. Like Texas could have banged with Michigan last year.
Yeah. And then if the whole game was on McCarthy to just throw 30 or 40 passes to get it done, don't know that he was capable of that.
Yeah, you know? UTEP, by the way, just tied it up to send the game into overtime with Southern Utah there at the Sun Bowl, the legendary Sun Bowl. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the early takeaways, and I feel like you're seeing it more and more. There's more parity in the sport than ever, I think, and you see it every Saturday now.
Sure.
Like Texas, to me, like I was thinking in my head before this, like, who are the good teams in college football right now? Who looks like great? I think you could really just say Georgia and Texas thus far.
Maybe Miami.
USC's up 17. Maybe you could say USC. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's many though, and I think you could even say,
Ohio State looks pretty.
They haven't played anybody. That means nothing to me. You know what I mean? Like,
still, they've done the job that has been put in front of them.
Sure, but they didn't look great against Akron to me.
Yeah, it took them a while to get.
They look much better today than they did against Akron.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're also playing backups. It's like Michigan last year in the non-con.
Yeah.
East Carolina covered. You should know that. Of course they did. Yeah, I'm concerned. I think if you're a Michigan fan, watch out. You know what I mean? Like, what do they got next?
Wait, take a peek.
Arkansas State, who is 2-0, a phony 2-0, by the way. They should be 0-2. They'll be fine in that one. But
do you have their whole schedule pulled up?
I have it right here. Yeah.
What do they got?
They got USC after that in the big house, but I think USC will beat them personally.
I mean, that's a close game though, because again, USC
can move the ball.
Trailing again. I mean, they have playmakers certainly, but again, maybe USC doesn't have the kryptonite to Michigan's offense so much. Although Michigan doesn't really seem to have an offense, but if USC is really soft up front and Donovan Edwards can get holes, then you can run to set up the pass like is Michigan's bread and butter.
Yeah. Avetta says Tennessee. Tennessee does look great, but playing 2 FCS teams in Chattanooga and NC State, I don't know how much to deduce from that. I cashed on Tennessee, by the way.
Not giving Tennessee much respect.
Well, no, I like Tennessee. It's just I don't respect NC State, and that's just a fact. Yeah. Look, after USC, it's Minnesota. At Washington, at Illinois. I mean, these teams, these are dogfights to me. With that shitty offense, I don't just automatically assume. Like, I would actually favor USC.
That's a fumble. That's a touchdown for Oregon right here. Oh, what?
Anyway. Shout out to the Longhorns, you filthy, filthy bastards. But you cashed for me though. At least if you're gonna do it, at least give me money. All right. Let's talk about a fun one. Syracuse 31, Georgia Tech 28. I was on the wrong side of this. I did eat shit on this one, but Patty C, Fran Brown.
Impressive.
Fran Brown.
I mean, the game was that close for most of it. Then Syracuse pulled away by what? Like 2-7. Were they up 17? Or were they only up 14?
17, I think.
Yeah.
I think up 17.
Pretty impressive. And then Georgia Tech battled back, made a great game of it. I would say they're pretty evenly matched teams, but I don't know. Kyle McCord looking phenomenal.
I knew this. It's the reason why I have a Syracuse future to win the ACC. But I did take Georgia Tech, so I was more impressed with Georgia Tech thus far through the season. So for this particular game, I did bet Georgia Tech. So I ate shit here. But questionable coaching. Brent Key not taking that 15-yard penalty.
Yeah,
was very interesting.
With like what,
down 7,
a minute and a half, or minute 45
have 2
left.
timeouts.
Yeah.
And you don't take a 15-yard penalty,
that
and then the very next play, Rondé Gadsden Jr., who is such a fucking baller, by the way, gets a first down. I disagree with the coaching decision.
Let's frame it. A minute 45 left. He's got 1 timeout.
Yeah,
and he can choose between 2nd and 25 and 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and he chooses 3rd and 10. They go to Gadsden on an 11-yard pass over the middle,
and that's the game.
Yeah, and that's the game. But let's talk about this though, because I actually believe this is one of those ones when we did. If you go back and listen to our Syracuse preview or our ACC preview, this is one where I said if Syracuse can get this one, watch out, right? Because they have a very favorable schedule, buddy. You look at who's out there. Stanford next in that filthy dome. Holy Cross in that filthy dome. at UNLV, which suddenly looks like the hardest game on their schedule.
Yeah,
right?
UNLV.
But who cares? That you're playing with house money.
Yeah,
right.
That doesn't impact your playoff chance
at
all.
NC State, who's certainly not looking amazing, but I'd still say that's one they should worry about.
Yeah, back-to-back road spot there.
At Pitt on a Thursday night,
coming off a bye at least, but still, that's technically three.
I mean, they can
games.
lose a couple of these and still make the ACC championship.
Yeah. Home
to Virginia Tech, at Boston College, at Cal, home to UConn, and home to Miami. It is a very, very nice schedule.
Yeah.
I just think watch out for the Orangemen. Watch out for the Orangemen. Huge win for Fran Brown. Shout out to Fran Brown. I'm a fan. I'm a fan over here, Fran Brown. I like he's animated. He's
shoot up.
Just I want to play for him. Let's go.
I mean, a couple games in, you have to be impressed.
Let me call a play. Georgia Tech. First they're 1-1 in the ACC, so I know you have a hard schedule ahead of you, but what do you put? They're still like, where are you at with the ACC race? I know it's week 2, but like, is Georgia Tech a contender in that thing?
Sure. I think, if we learned anything today, 1 week performance can be completely, misleading compared to the next week. Or, you can have completely different outcomes and perspectives on teams after the next week. So week to week, I expect a lot to change, but the picture will become more clear, obviously, over the course of the year. But off the top of my head, who are the contenders in the ACC? Certainly Miami, obviously. Cal.
Yes. Cal, I warned. I mean, we both did. Me and you did the preview. Yeah. We loved Cal this year. Now I did.
I didn't think.
I bet Auburn today.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, Cal got outgained by UC Davis last week. So, but going on the road to Auburn and kind of like controlling that game
with 5 starters out.
Yeah.
5 starters out for the California Golden Bears today. 2 on the offensive line, 2 in the receiving core. And getting the dub.
And their quarterback, who does have
Mendoza,
a very happy looking face.
Yeah. He's like 110 pounds. Very impressive stuff for Syracuse. I think Georgia Tech, if you're a fan, you're still, happy with the progress. The fact I guess you should be always assume you're going to be in a game with Syracuse, but still, I still think if you're a Georgia Tech fan, you're happy with this season thus far. Penn State. Just when I want to crown you. Just when I want to crown you. Look, I want to talk about this in a second, but before I do that, I want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. The NFL is back with their little cockanimi kickoff, and there are a ton of Pick'em specials to get you started. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. They have college football, best ball, folks. Hop on over there, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick. Plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back, and Patty C. Just when I thought to buy in on Penn State, like, hey, I'm glad I didn't. I was just occupied this week, and I actually probably would have bought a future on them. Nah, I'm not buying that future anymore. I am not sold. But it was a big day for the MAC. Oh, wow. Just fumbled the ball up in the air there. It was a big day for the MAC because Bowling Green, if Connor Bazelak doesn't make a couple of bad throws, they might have won this thing.
Yeah.
Penn State 34, Bowling Green 27.
Absolutely survived. By the skin of their teeth.
I don't know about this
because App State was Bowling Green was leading for a decent portion. Yeah,
a lot of it. Bowling Green had a 24-20 halftime lead. Now at the end of the third, it was Penn State by 3, 27-24. I mean, Patty C. I know Bowling Green's supposed to contend, and it was a good day for the MAC, but I don't know. They were 3 of 10, I think, on 3rd and 4th down against Bowling fucking Green.
Bowling Green did look like physically looks the part, able to bang. And there were a couple of times where Penn State showed they still had the athletes that we saw last week, and that was probably the difference in the game. But they didn't come out nearly enough. This game
was like neck and neck. Like Penn State was better, but not by much.
Yeah,
not by much.
See those athletes shining,
and to have that home crowd behind you and deliver that.
Yeah. That ain't gonna cut it.
I
every
don't
week.
know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, like maybe the MAC is up. That's one thing I think you're really seeing though is you're seeing parity in the sport that maybe we have. I mean, it's been trending this way. And when I look around the landscape, watching all the games today and last week, I really feel like there is a shit ton of parity.
Yeah.
When you have Boise State, not Boise State, Bowling Green, who's not, they've made a couple bowl games, but going like 6 and 7.
Yeah. You have group of 5 teams, average group of 5 teams challenging high end Power 5 teams, beating high end Power 5 teams. You have FCS teams beating
jumping
FBS
up right
teams.
now. You're seeing Southern Utah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that Idaho and Oregon was tied or a 3-point game. I'm sorry. Oregon was up by 3 mid 4th quarter last week. Yeah.
Under 6 minutes left in the game.
So if you're a Penn State fan, how bad do you panic here? You're top 10. You got Kent State next week, who did lose to an FCS in St. Francis. So, and that's St. Francis' first ever win against an FBS.
Who's
St. Francis took down Kent State, who's on the schedule next week for Penn State, so they can relax a little bit there.
Probably yes.
But after that, they're home to the Illini.
That's a dangerous
that
game.
all of a sudden becomes interesting. Home to UCLA, which I think they'll be fine with. At USC and at Wisconsin, though. Look at that stretch right there.
Losable.
At USC, at Wisconsin, home to Ohio State.
They're catching probably two losses in that stretch because I doubt they beat Ohio State even in Pappy Valley, and then between the road trips to USC and Wisconsin, they probably lose one of those, right?
Yeah,
USC.
I would think so too. Man.
So 2 losses there, but then the back end of that schedule is manageable. Home against Washington, road trips to Purdue and Minnesota, which is dangerous, and then hosting Maryland. They could get through with 2 losses, but I don't see any less than 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean, that was not a good showing today. Not a good showing. But what was a good showing was your boys, and I'm glad. See, back to that Dylan Gabriel bullshit slide that every offense is doing now. That is pretty much the worst thing to happen to America in a long, long time. The Florida Atlantic Owls did a bunch of that shit last week. And they had their little game in Del Boca Vista. And I'm glad because I saw all of those slides and I said, I cannot back this team.
Fancher.
I cannot back this team. I hate everything they're about.
Beautiful uniforms.
Yes, they do. I love their I hate everything they're about except their uniforms. They're fantastic. But the Army Black Knights, Patty C, 24-7, getting it done in Del Boca Vista at the old folks' home. Buddy,
dude,
the way I saw UTSA play today, the way I saw Air Force play these 2 weeks, even the way I saw Notre Dame play today, am I crazy to think that you might have been on something, brother?
Let's wait and see. But encouraging start certainly, and really Noah Short, that wing we saw last week. I think I forget Kanye Udo, the A-back. Well, I don't even know ABC, whatever they call them. The fullback.
Yeah,
he's solid, but they have guys on the edge that can really go. And when Tyrell Robinson comes back, and
when is he supposed to come back?
I think at the beginning of October.
We need him back. Yeah.
When he comes back, if they add that element to the, they have 2 guys that really have speed along the edges, that becomes a very potent offense.
Yeah, dude, I'm very impressed. And the hold FAU to 7 points, much better than Michigan State did against FAU.
And when you look at Lehigh, who they held to 7 last week, and then
Lehigh had 42 at half in the FCS today, as I think they cooled off in the second half. But
that was the big question about Army was they only had a couple guys returning. They lost most of their defensive production, but it looks so far like they've patched it up pretty well. So things could be a late.
Dude, give me a college football playoff with Army.
Yeah, let's go.
Give me a college football playoff with Army. We are still at 20-20. Boise State in late 3rd. Come on, Broncos. Let's get this done. I know I have a future on Oregon to win the national championship, but that thing is cooked. I'm not buying in to the Ducks being legit contenders this year. Unless they get way fucking better soon.
Yeah.
After the Idaho performance, or maybe something about schools in Idaho. I know Oregon wants to be part of Idaho, right? Isn't that something?
Or at least most of Oregon does.
Southern Utah takes a 3-point lead in overtime. UTEP now with the ball. Also, Arizona still clinging to a 3-point lead against NAU in the
NAU
fourth.
get them a few years ago?
Yes, they did with Jed Fish. Don't put the Lumberjacks on the schedule. All right. Yeah, and the other scores all the same. Arizona State up 27-3 at halftime against Mississippi State. Patty C.
Say that again.
Arizona State up 27-3 on Mississippi State. Look, Arizona State's the best team in the nation.
Yeah.
I'm convinced,
dude.
I'm convinced Arizona State's should be they should be mentioned most dominant teams thus far.
Pretty impressive.
48-7, and they called off the dogs. I feel like against Wyoming.
Yeah.
Now Wyoming has since gone and lost to a FCS, but that was an FCS that Oregon was neck and neck with in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Hey, college football is insane right now.
That's right. But Arizona State is looking like, without having played a Big 12 team yet, potentially a Big 12 contender.
Yes, I mean, but I can't believe I was this. This is what it is, though, man. It's harder for us. I feel like I'm still pretty damn good at my job, but I definitely feel like it is so much harder to really forecast how good these teams are going to be when there's 60 new players or 40 new players every year.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I mean, I was pretty sold. I have an under on Arizona State. There's no way that's cash.
Yeah, you just don't
That's
know
burnt.
who's going to hit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just they look so much better than a year ago, like so much better, like a completely different fucking team. Anyway, let's continue on this journey. Shout out to the Army Black Knights. I loved watching that game today. Love that fake field goal option play they did. Oh yeah, I think it was fantastic.
It was nice.
Memphis beat the shit out of Troy, 38-17. Troy moves to 0-2.
That's really impressive on Memphis's part.
But Troy, I don't think Troy's any good. But yeah, Memphis, all you have to do is win, and then obviously. But here's poor Memphis, who's got Florida State on deck. But I don't even know if that win's gonna mean anything. Oregon punt return situation. He's gone. Damn. Tell me there's a flag. No. Oregon just takes a 7-point lead on like a 90-yard punt return. Yeah. So Memphis looks good. They have the matchup in Tallahassee next week. I don't know what to deduce from that, but I can deduce that UConn is back.
Real quick before we jump off of Memphis, Army, very fortunate not to face Memphis, who does look good, and Tulane, who we'll get to, also looked very good today. And the fact that those two will basically eliminate each themselves, one or the other, at the end of the season, there's a decent chance that Army might even be hosting the conference championship game. I don't know what that'll be based on, if both teams have undefeated conference records, for instance.
Yeah, I don't think Memphis will, though. They play too many good teams
in conference.
Yeah,
potentially. But
they play at Tulane on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm assuming Tulane, who looks very good, will be the conference champion, or in the conference championship game as well. But the fact that they took an L today, maybe if it's based on national ranking and Army somehow walks into that game with no losses, then maybe Army has the home field advantage. I would think Tulane would probably put it on Army if they played it, at a neutral site. Tulane looks really good.
Yeah, but freshman quarterback is a freshman quarterback. UConn 63, Merrimack 17. Jim Mora. Oh yeah, Big 12. You don't want us? Watch what we do to the Warriors of Merrimack. I'm telling you.
Who challenged Air Force last week?
They did.
Right? Yeah.
They did. Watch out. UConn's gonna. My over's gonna hit on UConn. Let's go. Minnesota bodied Rhode Island 48-0. I had Akron plus 24, and this was tough. This was a tough watch, man. Akron goes down, drives early in that game to get
Colby
some
was
momentum.
more focused on the Akron Rutgers game than the other 10 awesome games.
The Michigan game was obvious to me. It was I watched 2 drives and I was like, Michigan can't fuck with Texas. So Akron drove down to the field and missed a 24-yard field goal.
The 9 a.m. slate was absolutely loaded, and you keep chirping about the Akron Rutgers. I'm shut the fuck up.
Well, I happen to have a future on Rutgers, and they do head to Lane Stadium next week, so watch out. Rutgers moves to 2-0, Patty C. Yeah, I don't know what else we got to talk about there. Arkansas, Oklahoma State. This game was fucking bananas. And these refs, that was one of the highlights today. Was the refs were fucking horrible. Whether it was this slide bullshit in this game, the Arkansas Oklahoma State game.
Ooh, this one was bad.
to put my tinfoil hat on because like the amount of what was it? First it was what was it? Gundy was pissed at before the false start. There was something happened before the false start. Oh, the clock.
Yeah,
the clock. The game really should have had, and then it was a clear offsides, neutral zone infraction that would have put the game out of reach really, and Oklahoma State would have been lining up for like a 20-yard field goal.
What was his argument though with the clock? Was he just worried that they weren't going to run the game clock?
No, the clock should have started.
The game clock should have kept running.
Yes.
Before they had adjusted the play clock, which it always does. And so the fact that they stopped the game clock in order to adjust the play clock, it does seem like, it was kind of bullshit there.
Oh, it was. It was.
They saved Arkansas some time there by doing that. And then also, like you said, the offsides.
Yeah, no, I mean that was absolute bullshit, and I really, how do we get better people to do the job? Because I really thought today was a really bad day for the sport.
So again, in case people weren't watching it, there's probably 50 seconds left in the game.
Yes, tight end goes in motion,
or the H back, I guess.
Yeah, H back. Yeah, and the defensive end, clearly jumps off sides, which then the tackle purposely,
maybe purposely,
reacts.
maybe not.
It looked like he purposely reacted to me.
But either way, he was by the rules definitely drawn off sides. The guy jumped not only into the neutral zone, across the line of scrimmage. He was almost in the backfield. Yes,
and which would have been a first down.
Yeah, it would have been a first down, and it would have allowed Oklahoma State to run the clock down to 2 seconds.
How did they get that wrong? That was just such a bad call, and especially with the bad call right before it. Like they had, within like a minute,
they showed Gundy
about to go crazy.
For like a minute and a half straight. But anyway, so as a result, they were forced to kick the field goal with like 50 seconds left, and then Arkansas goes down and gets into their territory,
makes a field goal to send it to overtime.
Oh, they went to overtime. That's right. That's right. They did go to overtime.
And in overtime, if you got the 7.5 number, like we did on the SGP show. Well, I mean, I didn't bet it at 7.5, but I bet it at 10. But on the show, I got that pick wrong, which was bullshit because Oklahoma State won by 8 in overtime. Patty C, let's talk about the SEC. It's not that good this year. I can't help but notice. Yes, Georgia and Texas
at the top. It's nasty.
I'm not impressed with Alabama.
No, they're not at the top.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay.
So that was a completely counterfeit score.
That was, and I have a lot of concerns about A&M, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma.
Sure.
Obviously Kentucky, South Carolina, Arkansas. Now at the top is Vandy. All right. Because Diego Pissing Pavia did it again by blowing out Alcorn State.
I don't know the last time Vandy beat someone 55-0, although they lit up Hawaii a couple years ago. So
that's true. But I think it was 56-10. Look, want to talk more about all this, but obviously the SEC definitely looking lackluster. Auburn too. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
What to tell you? The college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on moneyline spreads, totals, and props. I mean, the Rhythm college football model had me on the under with Colorado, North Dakota State. It hit. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. I just went to an Oakland A's game, brought White Tiger, and I pulled out my Game Time app and boom, that thing worked fine. Got $20 off. Which makes getting tickets even faster and easier with Game Time being an authorized marketplace of the MLB. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Patty C. Yeah, I think the SEC has a lot of shitty teams personally.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to make of Missouri yet. They're in the area where we'll see.
Missouri did what today?
They beat Buffalo, but they haven't really played good competition, right? So it's hard to deduce how good Missouri is. Tennessee looks really good. Georgia looks really good. Texas looks really good.
Yeah.
Ole Miss hasn't played anybody. Furman lost today to Charleston Southern. So that means Middle Tennessee barely beat Tennessee Tech. That means they have the easiest schedule thus far of the two.
Again, there is something to when you are completely waxing the team that's in front of you.
I just think both are going to be losing teams in the FCS.
That's fine, but there are teams that are
I'm
mediocre FCS teams.
No. I missaid that. Furman is going to be a losing team, I think, in the FCS.
NC State
and Middle Tennessee, I think, is a bottom 5 FBS team.
Oh, we're talking about
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah. Yeah. Do you think Middle Tennessee is really going to struggle this year?
They're horrible.
Okay.
They should have lost to Tennessee Tech last week.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can't take much from it. But what I say is, if you're hanging over 50 points, period, like poor offenses don't manage to do that. You know, again, if a quarterback can hit an open receiver, he can hit an open receiver.
I'm just saying, if Middle Tennessee played a lot of other teams, I think they would have lost by 40 points today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like a good amount of teams.
Yeah.
Now, Tennessee, the way they whooped NC State, I will give them all the credit in the world. I mean, first off, thank you. I cashed on that. Thank you. All right. The Pussy Pack. I told you in big games, they're going to be the Pussy Pack. You know what I mean? This is what they're going to do. Shout out to the Vols for getting it done. Oklahoma State, Patty C. How concerned should you be about Oklahoma State barely getting past an Arkansas team with Road Rash Face as the OC?
I think I'm impressed with Oklahoma State. Obviously, Ollie Gordon played great down the stretch there, got them back in the game. They really had to battle back. They were trailing significantly early. That was a bad look. Got it done, hung in there, even overcame the bad calls. And so for the second half of that game, they were clearly the better team, and it was encouraging for, the remainder of their year.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Kansas State, Tulane. I did cash on this one as Tulane plus 10.5 or no 10, I think. And but I did play the money line, and damn it, the money line should have hit. I personally thought
they were better.
I thought Tulane was better than Kansas State today.
Yeah.
Freshman quarterback mistake with a strip sack, a bullshit call at the 2-yard line. This is what I mean. Refs change. Tulane throws a touchdown that ties this game up, and they called offensive pass interference where the corner came up to jam.
Yeah, the quarter is playing press coverage and jams him. And the fact that he fights off the jam.
These calls are fucking horrible, man. That is a huge call against Tulane. If they're battling for this playoff spot.
Yeah. So what was it? It was basically a wide receiver kind of slip screen where he runs behind the other one. But the outside receiver
for a touchdown
is called for the offensive pass interference.
It was a horrible, horrible call.
Yeah.
And someone should be fired for that. In my opinion, that's a game-changing call at a critical point in the game.
Really, he doesn't even engage with the defender. He swim moves to run his own route. He's not picking him at all. He's just trying to get off the jam, and he gets called for offensive pass interference. Very bad.
Tulane, though, man, I mean, they had a 20-10 halftime lead. Credit to Kansas State tying it up going into the fourth. I still feel like Tulane was a better football team today.
Who's
that
freshman quarterback for Tulane?
It is what is it? Mensa, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Out of San Luis Obispo, Darian Mensa, I believe. He is a baller, but he did have a critical fumble today. Threw for 342. I'm not sold on Kansas State, and I'm not sold on Avery Johnson yet. Maybe he'll end up being awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know about them in the Big 12 this year. I think they're just like bowl team good. We'll
Definitely
see.
questionable. Although I'll say this, for Tulane, I would have expected the home game against Kansas State to be the win against Power 5 competition this year, and the Oklahoma game on the road to be the loss. I don't know that that's going to be the case. They may go up to Norman and get that done next week.
Yeah, Kansas State survives. Shout out to Chris Kleiman. Tulane, that's just a bad loss, man. I feel like they had that.
Yeah.
Still, had that.
I think they're very much in control of their own destiny at this point.
Well, you know who's not in control of their own destiny? That's the Cincinnati Bearcats. Your Cincinnati Bearcats, Patty C. The floor is yours. Here you go. Look, ready? We're going close up on. Well, do I not have that camera set up? I don't think I turned that camera on this morning. Anyway, buddy, Cincinnati for the first half looked like they were at Broadway Joe back there at quarterback.
Right. 26-6. Brendan Sorsby
27-6
or 27-6. Brendan Sorsby, super accurate, also very mobile, making great plays, and their defense was playing great. And then, I don't know if they got conservative. I think Pitt, to both of us last week, looked like the better team. I took Cincy again somewhat out. I thought it was going to be a very even game, but I thought Pitt was probably the better.
And Narduzzi almost did it. They went for 2 down. What? Down. He scored to cut it to, what was it, 8? No, cut it to 7. Right?
Oh yeah, no, he cut it to.
Was it 14?
He was down 14.
Yeah, and he scores.
Yeah, and then he
goes for 2, and you're just like, what? If you score
to cut it to 6 instead of 7,
and he doesn't get it, which then makes it an 8-point game,
right?
And you're like, what?
And then he's forced to convert on a 2-point conversion,
and he doesn't get that one, and then they had to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
He almost Narduzzi'd this game again. This was like Penn State all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bailed out by great defense and clutch offense, but I guess you got to give Narduzzi the credit for that. But still, super questionable decision making there, game management as usual.
Desmond Reed, the Western Carolina transfer that I was highlighting all preseason, 19 rushes, 148 yards, almost 8 yards a rush. He also had 6 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. The first Pitt player ever to have over 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving in a game.
Hello.
Tony Dorsett, LaShawn McCoy, Curtis Martin.
Nope.
What was my guy? Billy Sims back in the day, right?
I thought after last week, they did well enough. Although I'll say this, they kind of weren't nearly as impressive in the second half last week against Towson as they were in the first half. Again, the same thing this week against Pitt. So maybe they're just a first half team, and Satterfield can't make adjustments. That is certainly enough to drive any fan base crazy, and that was certainly the case on the message boards on Twitter today. Everyone was calling for his head again.
Where are you at with him there? You think he should be canned? Give him the season
to get it.
If they go 6-6, are you happy that should he be retained?
It just depends on how they look. But if it's again, this goes back to what makes a coach good. Is it moving the ball and scoring points, or is it being a good decision maker in important situations? Ultimately both are super important to winning games, and I think Cincinnati as a program should expect more than a 6-6 season. So I don't know if you can fire him already based on that based on his contract. If he goes 3-9 this year,
yeah,
because they looked good through a couple games last year and then just found ways to lose games. If that happens again this year and they're 3-9 at the end of this year, can his ass. If he makes it to 6-6, the contract is probably worth waiting another year.
This was a huge win for my lock win total of over 5.5 with Pitt. Pitt could be a player. When I look at, they got the backyard brawl next week, which I can't wait to watch. But after that, they have that's a home game, by the way, when West Virginia comes there, and then they're home to Youngstown and at North Carolina with their, North Carolina's on their backup quarterback now. Those are all winnable games right there.
Yeah,
they could easily
North
be
Carolina,
5-0.
That score doesn't really represent the challenge that Charlotte gave them today.
Yeah. And Charlotte lost their QB, I think, indefinitely. I don't know if that could be a good thing though. Oh my God, are you kidding me? You see this? This is what I'm talking about though. The guy doesn't hit Gabriel because he's probably so paranoid on hitting him, and now he escapes for. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
We've ruined it. Sport kind of sucks. Let's be honest. The overall sport of football, played in the country, is pretty shitty now.
Demonstratively worse than it once was. Yeah.
A&M 52, McNeese 10. Next.
Yeah.
Georgia 48, Tennessee Tech 3. Hey, the Golden Eagles covered. Next. Ball State, Missouri State was actually a good one. We had this on the TV. There we go. Buck 'em Broncos. Let's go. Fumble by Oregon and recovery by Boise State. Patty C, Missouri State jump into the FBS next year. I know you're excited about that. Ball State, though, your boys, gut check game. They get it done. They battle back after being down, get a 42-34 game. Big day for the MAC.
Well, again, Missouri State, now that they're going to the FBS. Maybe Bobby Petrino has a home back there.
You get him back. Bring back Road Rash Face.
Yeah.
Or do they go out and get like, what's my guy's name? Andy Kotelnicki. Kotelnicki. I can't. Kotelnicki. I need to say that. I need more whiskey.
He better have a better performance than Penn State did today. If he wants a good job next year. Yeah.
St. Francis beats Kent State. Shout out to the Golden Flashes. FCS wins were happening left and right today. UNLV scored 72 against Utah Tech. I don't know if Anderson Hunt, Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony, Stacey Augman, and Moses Scurry were on that team, but very impressive as Ashton Jeanty breaks one. He's a
Heisman.
fucking stud. Let's go, Boise. Let's get this done.
How many rushing yards does he have right now?
72-14. UNLV, are they the greatest team to ever hit planet Earth?
I mean,
They play at a shitty stadium there in
Dixie
Vegas.
State wasn't a terrible FCS team, were they?
I think they're like average. I think they're like 4-8.
But still,
Yeah.
UNLV is doing big
Yeah.
things.
72
Lighting up
points.
that scoreboard. Yeah.
They haven't dropped 72 since Randall Cunningham. Patty C, Wisconsin 27, South Dakota 13. I watched this game and I have my concerns again on these Badgers.
That game seems closer than that score.
Now, the only thing that will save the Badgers here is I don't know how good Alabama is, but Bama is coming to town next week.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by college football is kind of like the parodies everywhere. I am not convinced that Wisconsin's any good, but I'm not convinced Alabama's very good.
Assuming College Game Day makes its way to Madison, this is the least exciting game between undefeated Power 4 teams and traditional powerhouse.
Well, I mean,
programs.
it's not often that you get a chance to beat Alabama, so maybe this is a good year to get them.
True.
Maybe they can get it done.
What is going on? Is Milroe like just not able to throw the ball that well in that offense? You know, obviously it's a pass-happy offense under DeBoer.
Yeah, I don't know. They did not look good today, though.
Yeah.
Like he was turning the ball over left and right, and just didn't look good. I don't know. Anyway, South Dakota covers, and then the big one, Patty C. Northern Illinois 16, Notre Dame 14, and I repeat, this was not a gimmick, in my opinion. If you watch this game, I thought flat out for 60 minutes of football, Northern Illinois was better than Notre Dame.
Well,
I thought they were more creative with their play calling. I just thought they were a better football team today than Notre Dame at their house in South Bend, fresh off of an A&M win, probably their biggest win in a long time. Marcus Freeman does it again, buddy. This is the third loss to a team, 16-point dogs at home.
Yeah.
It was Marshall. It was Stanford. Now it's Northern Illinois. Patty C, look, we were crowning Notre Dame last week saying they're going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Riley Leonard was 20 of 32 for 163 and 2 interceptions. No touchdowns. Ethan Hampton outplayed him, being 10 of 19 for 198 in the score.
32 attempts for 163 yards.
They bottled up Jeremiah Love. And Ontario Brown, I thought, was the better running back today. And I thought Northern Illinois was better. And Northern Illinois is one of those ones, when you put them on the schedule,
you better be careful.
They've been a fucking big game team for the past 25 years in college football.
Yeah.
And man, I'm very impressed.
Dominated time of possession, 34.
They were the better fucking
to
football
25.
team today, man.
Yeah.
Look, they had 388 total yards. Notre Dame had 286. All right. They were better the entire game. I don't want to hear this bullshit of like, oh, they barely got past them. They were better. And to me, I don't know how Notre Dame fans feel with Marcus Freeman right now. I know he's, in my opinion, like Notre Dame's more talented than they've been in some time. When I look at the running backs, when I look at certain positions, but you can't lose at home to Northern Illinois.
What do we think about Riley Leonard, and what do we think about Mike Denbrock at this point? I know Denbrock had the number one offense in the country last year. I'd like to look back at his whole career and see how often he was able to have elite offenses. If it was just a one-time deal, then maybe Notre Dame has something to worry about at the coordinator position too. But if it's just Leonard, I don't know that they have a good backup to go there either. I think the offense is gonna be in trouble.
Yeah,
all year.
Danny Dumbshit, shout out to Danny Dumbshit in the chat. And Joe Novak was the guy to get this program going. I remember the PJ Fleck touchdown in the end zone to beat Maryland back when Maryland was ranked with Ralph Friedren. They have scored big time wins, and Thomas Hammock was a former running back there. and he this one, and look, this was a make or break year for Hammock. I thought he was on the hot seat doing their preview.
Yeah.
This is a fucking gigantic win. As Danny Dumption says, he thinks it's the best win in MAC history. MAC history. So, Patty C. And look,
what was Notre Dame ranked coming into this game?
They were number 5.
Wow. That might be the highest ranked team that a MAC team has ever beaten.
Well, let me ask you something here. You know, Northern Illinois does have to play at NC State in a couple weeks, but watch out, NC State.
Yeah.
If they went, someone in the chat was also talking about this earlier. You know, I know last season Northern Illinois was a team that lost to an FCS in Southern Illinois. They went 7-6, beat Boston College though. Still, even with that, they beat Boston College. That's what they do. And Patty C, if they go like say 10-2,
yeah,
with the win against Notre Dame, would that put them over the top against a Tulane or a East Carolina or a Boise State if they don't win this game?
I certainly think, I don't know if they have 2 losses, whether they're going to get the nod over. I mean, a lot of that depends on how good Notre Dame is. If Notre Dame ends up being
Notre Dame's schedule's so easy that I almost feel like, well, I don't know. They play Miami, Ohio, who won the MAC. They play them next. What if the MAC? Oh, please, MAC, beat Notre Dame back-to-back weeks, and then we could just say the MAC is better than Notre Dame. That's why they don't want to join the conference.
Marcus Freeman will have a big MAC problem.
Please, Chuck Martin. No, I'm sure Notre Dame will respond, and I think Notre Dame's schedule is very, very favorable. Fumble. Oh. There we go.
Boom.
There we go. It's hard to do this reaction show when you have such a meaningful game here, Patty C. But this is why the playoffs are great. The 12-team playoff is so much better because a team like Northern Illinois, who just scores that win, I know they have a whole season ahead of them. And by the way, genius bye week next week because I was looking to fade them.
Northern Illinois, yeah.
I was like, oh, who they play next week? Are they getting Toledo? Are they getting Ball State? Spot. I was like, they're gonna catch them.
Great schedule.
Great bye week.
Yeah.
Week 3 there for the Huskies. And look, that's the first time they've ever played Notre Dame, ever in their history. So they now own the series.
Wow.
Don't ever schedule them again. Don't ever schedule them again, Northern Illinois. Yeah. Send them an email. If you need someone, I will send an email 7 days a week. All right.
One and done.
I just want to send the logo of the NIU Huskies and say 1-0 against Notre Dame. Patty C. I mean,
that's unbelievable with Notre Dame essentially kind of claiming Chicago as their city, their big city that they recruit from or traditionally used to recruit from a lot. And NIU being, essentially right around the corner from Chicago.
Yes.
How have they never played? That's unbelievable. But that is awesome that NIU has the series lead.
And here's what's crazy too, buddy. Notre Dame, we know their defense is supposed to be fantastic. 0 sacks today. 2 sacks for Northern Illinois. I thought they called a perfect fucking game. They kept going Wildcat. I thought they were very creative with how they dealt with that. And I don't know, man, like this was an awesome watch. This is why college football is still, even though we know the sport of football has gotten worse. You watch a game like that, you say, this is why the sport's fantastic. Yeah. And this is why a larger playoff should benefit all. Imagine if we have a MAC championship on the line. That's why we need auto bids for all of them, because you get that win like that. Come on, man. And the seeding, come on. Yeah. By the way, quick score update, Patty C. Arizona is pulling away. They are up 22-10 on NAU. Looks like they're going to escape with about 5 minutes left in the game. Mm-hmm. By the way, Boise's kind of dominating the ground. Washington State up 34-10 as we're honoring Coach Leach. Let's go Cougs.
Well done.
Fresno State also up by 22 against Sac State.
Let me make an early appeal to College Game Day or Big Noon Kickoff to go to Wazoo versus Washington. Apple Cup next week.
Yeah, let's do that, please.
Bama, Wisconsin don't need to go there. And big what is it? Backyard Brawl.
Yeah, Backyard Brawl. Always a go-to. Always a go-to to me. Fox should do Backyard Brawl, or whoever's got the rights to it. And Boise State just took a 7-point lead. 10 minutes left in the fourth. Let's go Broncos. But yeah, Backyard Brawl or that
Apple Cup.
Patty C. We're also in the fourth quarter, and New Mexico State is up 8 on Liberty.
Surprise. I thought with Jerry Kill leaving town that
I faded them.
And
I told you, like, years after Jerry Kill, normally the programs excel, but I was like, nah, but he took all the coaches.
Yeah.
Except Tony Sanchez, who was on the staff.
Apparently he did build a legit foundation.
They should have lost last week to SEMO, but right now Liberty looking very iffy. Also Arizona State up 30-3 on Mississippi State. Oregon State also takes a 14-0 lead. As much as I bet on San Diego State, I'm waiting for the Aztecs to wake up here. Oregon State, you know, I like seeing those schools win. Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
I want them to fucking go undefeated.
Yeah.
I know they play each other, so they can't, but give me Wazoo 12-0, Oregon State 11-1. Let's go. USC also up 27-0 at halftime. And man, this is getting good. It's hard to do a show when I want to watch this game.
Credit
right
to USC for not dropping the ball after their big win on Sunday. Short week, still came out getting it done on a Saturday against Utah State.
Yeah. Iowa State, Iowa. I lost a shit ton of money on this game. What happened here?
I stopped watching after Iowa went up big.
Well, we wanted to watch the end. I mean, we have 9 TVs here, but we had it on one of the small ones. We moved it to the small one for just a chunk of the game.
Yeah.
And Iowa State just miraculously comes back.
Yeah. Colby just goes, I think Iowa State just won the game. We're like, what?
On a 55-yard field goal or whatever it was. Rocco Becht. I mean, Patty C. This is the Big 12. It's a big win for the Big 12, man. Iowa, I think, is in contention for the. I know. How can I say that if they threw for a cool 99 today? But dude, Iowa State won the game going 2 for 14 on 3rd and 4th down. How the fuck they win this game? Iowa was 6 of 17 on 3rd down. I mean, Iowa State did have more total yards, but it's almost like what?
Iowa didn't manage 100 passing yards.
99.
Some things will never change.
2 interceptions. I think that's the big thing there. Caleb Johnson had about 190 rushing. This game always delivers. Unfortunately, I was on the bad side of this one. I thought Iowa was the play. I felt that way at halftime. They're up 13-0 at halftime. Yeah.
I would say no game is more likely to end up in a 1 to 2 to 3 point, range score wise as this one.
They got to play this the final week of the season. Yeah. I'm calling for this one to be moved to the final week of the season every year.
Nebraska, Iowa, as much as you want to push that down our throats, that isn't a traditional rivalry.
And this one should be in cold weather because it's just they both play great defense. It's just perfect for cold weather.
Great. And then let's put Colorado and Nebraska on the schedule every year.
Yes.
Although tonight was not.
Yeah, but it's good for the rivalry though because the crowd hates Dion and hates Shador and it's great. What a win for the Clones that are 2-0. Patty C. I can't help but think Iowa State, when you look at this remaining schedule, short of a trip to Salt Lake City and a Farmageddon, finale. I mean, I don't know. The Big 12, I guess, it's a favorable schedule, though. Their road games at Houston, at West Virginia, at Kansas, which can't even play at home, and at Utah. Well, Utah's the one that they'll get smoked, I'm sure. But I don't know. Cam Rising got injured. This is why my day was
challenging
bad.
Games.
Yeah.
At Houston. I mean, Houston looked decent today.
Yeah.
Against Oklahoma.
Shout out to Cole. Says this was such a fun college football Saturday to me. Yes, it was, with the exception of the refs. But it continues right now with Boise and everybody going.
Well, speaking of Houston, Oklahoma, I don't know if we want to touch on that and go out of order, but that was another one that you had a real big bone.
I have a huge beef with the refs in that. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma may still won this game, but Oklahoma punts the ball down to the
there's only like
3-yard
a minute
line or
left.
something, and Houston does a run out of the gun.
What are they up
on
by?
First down, two. It's 14-12.
Yeah.
And Houston gets called for a safety, which was so fucking ridiculous. The ball never went on his own will behind the line.
Yeah.
And then on review, they didn't have a shot down the line.
Well, they did. They finally showed later.
After the fact.
And it was clear that the ball had never gone into the end zone before.
That call was horrible.
Contact
that
was
call
made.
was horrible in real time. In real time, I saw that and I go, no, he got pushed back there.
Yeah.
That was a game-changing call.
Obviously.
And I can't help but notice. I can't help but notice that this happened to Houston last year against Texas. These fucking name brands are getting some bullshit calls, man. Bullshit calls down the stretch. Now maybe Oklahoma still wins that game, but I hate the fact you took it out of the the
players' hands.
Yeah, because it became a 4-point game, and they needed a touchdown then, and they didn't have enough time when they got the ball back.
Well, did they?
They did get the ball back. They got to like the 50-yard line, but there was not enough time on the clock to get that.
Dude, there's a lot of returns going on.
Good God, special teams. Come on, 39.
Go kicker.
Come on,
go
39.
Kicker.
Don't be such a pussy. Oh my God.
Shit.
Oregon takes it back. Did he drop the ball before he scored?
I don't know. That'd be amazing if he did.
Oregon just took one to the house. We're tied up. This game's this is a crazy game.
Wow.
Well, my Eastern Michigan Eagles flew high, Patty C, but not high enough. But they did cover 28 as they lost 30-9. Cole Snyder's Pretzels, to me, had the game-changing play. They were up 6-0, and he's running the ball, like gonna be like a 20 to 30 yard gain, and he gets stripped from behind on like the tiniest little tap.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Eastern
from that
Michigan
moment on, Washington dominated the game.
Had the momentum for sure. I think Washington was probably the better team, but still, they were able to get the cover. I will say Washington's quarterback. Or I guess I don't know if he was a guy running Wildcat, but he looked like a wide receiver, fumbling the ball at the 20-yard line going in with about 3 minutes left. Probably cost Washington the cover on that. Not that they care.
Look, this is on review right now, and I'm sorry, Petty, but it's on review because I think he might have dropped the ball before he scored. Look at this. He drops the ball before he scores. But I don't know that. Is there a view
that confirms
where he has control of it? He drops it. That's incredible. That's incredible. How often do we see that? I feel like we get that once a year.
Several times a year. Yeah.
Oh my God. What a bonehead.
Always
play.
got to hot dog it.
Yeah.
And it ends up costing you.
Eastern Washington covered for me. I did play the money line too, so I lost a little bit there, but I always back it with the points. All right. If I may encourage that. Sometimes you'll get had and you just get completely fucked like Wyoming last week, but I feel like more times than not. What?
At least break even. What? Wow.
This is what I mean, man.
The brand name.
How is that a touchdown? How is that a touchdown?
Yeah, I don't know. Ridiculous. Yeah,
dude. I buy into a conspiracy, man. Like, why?
It's not really a conspiracy when it's common.
Why is it every name brand getting these though?
Yeah.
Like he definitely drops the ball before that goes into the end zone. That's ridiculous.
By the way, those
fire these refs too.
Those Dion shoes look fabulous.
Fire these refs too. They need to all be fired. All right. They need to be fired. I could do the job better. All right. How about this one? Remember when people said Kentucky's a contender this year? 31-6. South Carolina, who should have lost to Old Dominion last week. Whoops. What is it about Beamer ball that just fucks up Kentucky?
Yeah. Kentucky is so bread and butter that any mojo that Beamer brings into the game is overwhelming for them.
I think Kentucky's going to be horrible this year. Looking at the quarterback situation they had, I think Kentucky is in for a horrible season. They got Georgia on deck.
Yeah, they're going to get destroyed.
Judging by the quarterback play I saw out of Lexington today, that's going to be horrible. They also go to Ole Miss. Horrible. I think they'll lose to Vandy if they play like that. Shit. I mean, you could really be talking a real setback year, but you get out of the SEC East. We said this. It's going to be a lot harder, especially you add in. Where
did the points come from in that game?
Because, what do you mean? 2 field goals by Kentucky.
But for South Carolina.
Yeah, no, this game was hilarious.
Sellers only had 159 passing yards.
They only had 86 rushing yards.
Wait a second. How many points? I mean, how many yards total did they have?
The teams combined for just about 400 yards.
But 252 total yards from South Carolina
and 183 from Kentucky.
Terrible viewing. But
very Big Ten West of you.
How did they manage 31 points from 252 yards? That's impressive. There must have been some defensive touchdowns. 2 interceptions by Kentucky, like you mentioned.
They had a pick 6 also on Brock Vandergriff.
Okay, there you go.
He looked horrible, by the way. They should have had another pick 6 on Brock Vandergriff.
Yeah. 3 of 14 on 3rd down, 0 for 2 on 4th down. That ain't getting it done.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And then Charlotte covered against North Carolina, but North Carolina won. Biff Poggi 0-2. My future for Charlotte.
Charlotte
still alive.
They're better than their 0-2 record, obviously. But I think they're a decent team. Their quarterback.
Well, unfortunately, they have Gardner Webb on deck, who looked pretty good today.
Yeah, Gardner Webb looked better against JMU this week than Charlotte did last week. Speaking of which, I think it's time for a shotgun.
Oh, there we go.
JMU survived.
JMU Dukes, Bob Chesney, sing your heart out.
Didn't manage
2-0
to point in the first
2-0.
half, but yeah, got it done in the second half.
Now you're at Carolina next week.
We're a second half team.
What is this?
We're
You
the
Charlotte,
opposite of
and Gardner Webb just fucking rotating chairs. North Carolina too.
That's true.
Patty C, how concerned are you about this North Carolina game?
We're gonna get destroyed. We suck.
I think so.
JMU sucks right now.
Yeah.
We got a lot of kinks to work out. We're kind of soft up the middle. We don't have a reliable offense. But I will say, we do, I think, wear teams down over the course of the game, and we make plays when we need to. So those are two good features. And we have a bye week, so maybe we'll see how Chesney is out of a bye.
And don't look now, but Mac Brown 2-0. Told you this is his glory year, right? He gets North Carolina Central next week, then JMU. He's going to be 4-0.
Who's he have on deck after JMU?
Duke.
Look ahead spot.
They're going to be 5-0, dude.
Yeah.
They're going to be. Look, this is the year. This is the year for Mac Brown.
No,
he
it's
can
not.
walk off into the. He can go. Go on a cruise. Go to Epstein Island. I don't fucking know, right? But my point is that
The stars have aligned for
it's just a great schedule too for them.
Mac Brown. Look, this is not only for the JMU Dukes getting it done when
YouTube.com/the college experience.
It's also for the Wahoos of UVA.
Oh, that's a bullshit win.
That was not a bullshit
win.
They were the better team.
No, I disagree.
They fell behind early against Wake Forest.
I disagree with that statement.
And
they were not the
battled
better
back.
team.
They had some fortunate bounces go their way, especially at the end of the game.
Green. Yeah.
Either way.
Do it. YouTube.com/the college experience. Patty C.
To the dubs.
Chugging beers, shotgunning beers. There he is. Spill it all over his shirt. There we go. All right.
Amateur hour in effect.
He's still at JMU, baby. Yeah, UMass was flirting with beating Toledo, and then Toledo kind of put it on them in the fourth. But UMass was in that game. I know Don Brown and UMass are 0-2, but I do feel like they look better. Is that fair to say? They look better when I watch them.
UMass.
Yeah, like UMass lost to Toledo. We had it on the screen.
Any of that game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Hater. Well, you've been preaching Mike Loxley. Jonathan Smith, a guy who can coach, comes into College Park, gets it done. I took Michigan State. You and NC Nick rode with Maryland. Fuck you guys.
Hey, nice call.
And yeah,
surprised, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Maryland had to come back even to tie it up. Then Michigan State went down and kicked the last second field goal to get the win. Congrats. Nice win in College Park.
Don't look now. Jonathan Smith, Michigan State 2-0.
Hello.
2-0 and Prairie View A&M on deck.
Hello.
Ahead
of schedule. Maryland, I do believe, travels to UVA next week. Potentially, heartbroken from this week's loss. Could UVA capitalize, or maybe will they be mad and come down there and get the win?
Yeah.
We'll
Cole in the chat saying UMass will get somebody. Also, I agree, and I think next year when they join the MAC, watch out for them. I think that will be their big year. Shout out to Danny Dumbshit as well. UMass got him paid, and Michigan State. It wasn't pretty, but a win is a win is a win. Aiden Childs, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 363 yards though. Watching him grow is going to be fun. Patty C, I want my money back. I guess it's my fault actually when I think about it. I lost a bunch of money on Utah -14. They were up 17-0. Actually, no, they were up 24-0 after a blocked field goal. But that is when Cam Rising injured his hand, which, God damn it, buddy. You want to talk about a critical injury? Like, this guy gets injured if the wind blows. This is one where, like I said, this is a risky play. I think Utah is by far the best team in the Big 12 with him healthy, but he's never healthy.
Do we know what the prognosis is on that?
Not yet. They said, hand injury, but I can tell you this. if he is out substantially, they're going to lose in Stillwater soon. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They might even get to me, they all of a sudden become a much more beatable team. They did not cover. This thing should have covered. By the way, it was 23-0, not 24-0 when everything fell apart. This was a non-con game for the Big 12.
8 of 14, 92 yards and 2 touchdowns before they lost them. That was before half.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. There were so many games on. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was on the right side of that one before that.
On
injury.
his throwing hand. So, yeah.
That motherfucker can't complete. He's Samuel Jackson's character in that Bruce Willis movie, Mr. Glass. That's him. You know what I mean? It was Unbreakable. Unbreakable. You never seen Unbreakable? Yeah. That's him.
Yeah, 23 straight points by Utah, and then
that's why they called me Mr. Glass. I bet also on Wyoming to bounce back. I have a future with Wyoming to win the Mountain West. I have Wyoming on the over on win totals. They're cooked. Idaho didn't have their starting quarterback, and Idaho still went in to Laramie, which is a tough place to win, and won 17-13. I don't know what it is. Evan Swoboda, you know what? They lost their offensive coordinator who took the head coaching position at North Dakota State. That shit has mattered. And also Harrison Whaley, the star running back, has been injured, but Patty C, Wyoming's fucking horrible. And all of a sudden,
Bull was the architect of that defense before. So losing him, even having the defensive coordinator step in, that doesn't necessarily mean he knows it quite as well as Bull did.
Dude, they look horrible. No, but they brought in Jay Johnson on offense. Dude, this offense looks horrible.
Yeah,
he's got his work cut out for him because that offense looks horrible.
Idaho was in the control of that game.
Yes, Idaho was the better team.
Yeah,
another FCS win there for the Vandals, and I still can't believe this game. So 34-34 with Boise State, Oregon in the 6 minutes left in this game. It should be 34-27. That is a horrible, horrible call. Man.
Oregon marching.
Yeah, shout out to the Vandals. Temple looked like shit against Navy. I almost pulled the trigger and bet this game. So glad I didn't because Temple looked horrible and Navy. Patty, see these service academies, with the exception of one, Navy and Army are looking great.
Well, you know my prediction: Army 12-0, American Conference champs, playoff bound, loses to Navy in a game that doesn't impact their playoff chances, but certainly a matter of pride. And I think Navy has the kryptonite. We said we're generally not fans of any team that abandons his triple option, but
if you go single wing,
I'll
make
more
an
or
exception.
less the same thing.
I'll make an exception if you go single wing.
Navy's still a fan favorite. Let's be honest. Newberry, are we already forgetting that he's a
not yet.
Yeah,
not
too
yet,
early.
Not yet.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't know if David Braun deserves any flack for taking over for. He took over. He was a member of Fitzgerald's staff.
He was their DC.
He was their DC. So again, anytime someone gets unfairly fired, in our opinion.
No, he was just hired though as DC. He wasn't like.
Oh, he wasn't.
Hankowitz had retired. He was hired in January that year. So I don't think he was behind the scenes plotting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Boston College 56, Duquesne nothing. Sorry, CJ Sullivan, the bet detective. Boston College, Patty C, you were right. Once you get an O'Brien, you start dominating.
Hello.
Are they real contenders in the ACC?
Boston College, yeah, sure. ACC's wide open. Although a team that we had somewhat written off showed their strength today.
Shout out to Magic Man Blanco in the chat. Hell of a good guy. Appreciate you tuning in, Magic. Oh boy, let's go. Oh, they're trying this foo-foo stuff, Patty C.
Well, they're pulling a page from
Boise's
book,
yeah.
The old hook and ladder.
Patty C. California Golden Bears head into the plains of Auburn, 21-14, and really, in my opinion, this should have been like 28-14 if they could make a goddamn field goal, right?
Yeah.
Cal beats Auburn. 5 starters out for Cal, including 2 on the O-line. They go into SEC territory. They get it done, and their fans traveled. And I want to continue to hammer this spot that Cal gets wrapped, gets lumped in the same bin as Stanford, and I find it unjust. I listen to many other shows, and they question Cal fans. Look, Cal fans are all weird. They protested, but they show up. They should not be compared to Stanford fans. In my
can't
opinion.
remember Cal, watching Cal in too many important cross country games to know how well they travel.
Well, I don't know about how they consistently travel, but I know Memorial Stadium is normally much more packed than Stanford Stadium, and I feel like that's nonsense to compare the two.
Yeah, I think they have a little more passion in their fan base than Stanford.
Shout out to Danny Dumbshit for giving us $20. Oh, look at him. He's just hitting us with the NIU history. Let's go Huskies. I'm rooting for them the rest of the year. Let's go. Patty C, but let's talk about Justin Wilcox and the California Golden Bears, because I believe, and I was on a show today where they asked me, they said, is Miami just going to run away with the ACC? And I said, well, they did look great. I don't want to take anything away from Miami, but I can't help but think of that spot in Berkeley on October 5th when I go, Cristobal always kind of struggled against Cal. Why couldn't they get them then? I'm just not ready to go there yet on Miami being the winner of the ACC yet, just because their roster was paid for. I believe Cal is a team to watch out for.
Dude, Cal, when you look at their schedule, which we did obviously in the offseason, one of the two games that we had them as a massive dog in or a definitive dog in, they just beat.
Yes.
The road trip to Auburn.
And by the way, Peyton Thorne, why was Auburn content on keeping Peyton Thorne their quarterback? I'm sorry. When I watched that offense, it's fucking terrible.
Not impressive.
Well, they could have gone out and spent for all these other players.
Yeah, that's true.
Hugh Strip Club Freeze was just like, no, we're okay with Peyton Thorne. Yeah. I don't get it.
Well, you were not super impressed with Hugh Freeze today, saying that you don't think he's a great coach.
I think he got lucky at the time. He was cheating.
Yeah.
And now cheating's legal. Right. First there's that. But just because you beat Saban, I mean, and some of those games are wacky.
But
it was like a deflection off of a helmet where, I'm not ready to just say that this guy's a great hire. Now, it may work out at Auburn. I'm not saying they should fire him right now, but I'm just saying I don't know how good of a coach he is. I would like to see more. I thought they might have rushed to hiring him and firing Brian Harsin, in my opinion, because when you look at it, he did exactly what Brian Harsin did in year one. And right now you beat a horrible Alabama A&M team in the FCS.
Well, I think his cheating is probably part of his appeal. And that's something that Brian,
but everyone can pay the players now.
Bring that to them.
You don't, this is too late. You're too late.
Yeah.
You're too late to the party. All right. Ashton GT plays for Boise because they're paying him a shit ton of money. All right.
Right.
Before he would be taken,
he'd be at Auburn this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Cal. Where do you think? Like, what's the I look at they're home to San Diego State next week. They're at Florida State. They're home to Miami. I mean, these games.
The bye week between the road trip to Florida State, which if they go in there and get that W, then you have to start looking at Cal as a potential playoff team.
Well, let me tell you, if they won at Auburn, they can win at Florida State, unless Florida State somehow figures it out. Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I expect Florida State to figure it out at some point, but maybe not. I mean, I don't expect Florida State to have a great year. I could see 6-6 as a possibility at this point. I mean, assuming they lose to Miami, they're probably going to have at least 3 losses. I haven't looked at Florida State's schedule recently closely enough to know, but if Cal gets them, and then the bye week before hosting Miami coming out of a game against Virginia Tech that could be somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
That's
maybe. I don't know. I'm not buying into Virginia Tech yet either.
Me neither. They have some tough games on the rest of their schedule, but I think the next few weeks are going to tell the story of Cal season.
I'm terrified of all these punts and kicks. Every time Boise punts and kicks, because I feel like that's when Oregon's been winning. Huge win for the California Golden Bears, though.
Yeah.
Justin Wilcox came into the season on the hot seat. Does a win like that, regardless if let's say they end up 6-6, but you won at Auburn, is that one that saves?
Yes,
the job?
that's a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
That helps.
They should have beat Auburn last year too, when you think about it. Patty C.
You're right.
Jacksonville State got whooped 49-14 by Louisville. When are you going to buy in on my cards?
Now.
It took last year. You said, nah, "Come on, Kobe, ACC championship, my ass."
Yeah, well, I thought Plummer leaving. I thought you were maybe dissing how much he meant to their quick, learning curve ascent, because he had played for
at Brom at Purdue.
Purdue for so long. So, I thought, a few years experience there accelerated their learning curve. And then without him being there was going to be probably some regression that you weren't giving him credit for. Apparently that's not the case. And Tyler Shuck,
I think Shuck, if he can stay healthy, that's part of the handicap here, is that if he can stay healthy. But Shuck's a much more athletic and talented quarterback than Jack Plummer,
which is saying not that much, because Shuck is not that athletic of a quarterback.
Well, to me, like, Plummer would throw a lot of crazy passes. Like, yes, he had some moments where he'd shine, but he would throw a lot of stupid passes. Yeah. I don't think Shuck
is
does
playing
that
good
as much.
Football right now.
They got Louisville is home to Georgia Tech next, huge game, and then they have a bye before that, but home to Georgia Tech and then at Notre Dame. Patty C.
They should probably win both those games.
I don't know. Notre Dame could get them.
Yeah,
revenge game from last season.
It's home against Notre Dame, or
no? It's
at
South
Notre
Bend.
Dame. Oh,
because
they got them last year.
Want to talk more, folks, but stay put on YouTube. We're going to transition to the B side. Just stay put right there, and check out the B side if you're on the audio side of this. We're back on the college football experience. B side is Oregon and Boise State are tied up at 34 with 2 minutes left in Autzen. Oregon somewhat driving right now. Looks like it'd be about midfield on a 3rd and 1. Garbage touchdown by the Ducks, where the guy fumbled the ball before he got out of bounds. The refs doing a horrible job today all over the sport. But we are back talking college football. Still recapping. We just got done recapping Jacksonville State, Louisville, and all the other games prior to that. UTSA, though, Patty C, headed into San Marcos, Texas. Battle of I-35 rivalry.
Didn't see this one coming.
Texas State is that team this year, buddy. They're that team.
They're not playing around.
49-10. They take care of the Roadrunners. And you got to think, if you're a Texas State fan, this could be our year to go to the 12-team playoff in year one. They have now, I bet they thought a few weeks ago when they had Arizona State on the schedule. Now it is in San Marcos. They were like, oh, that's a winnable game. Well, they didn't realize that Arizona State has Mercury Morris, Larry Zonka, Bob Greasy, and the 72 Dolphins are Arizona State, who are, by the way, Arizona State currently up 30-16 on Mississippi State in the 4th. So still though, Texas State, this is a huge win. GJ Kinney, is this a guy is he gonna be hired away after the season?
He should be.
Can he stay in San Marcos for a little bit and continue building this? I want him to do this, but 49-10 UTSA. That is, I'm gonna go ahead and say like UTSA is pretty much like eliminated. You lose by 40.
If Jeff Traylor can stay at UTSA, then GJ Kinney might be able to stay at
cough up that money.
Texas State.
Cough up that money.
Yep.
That was an ass whooping.
Jordan McLeod, 309 passing yards. Will he be the first dude in history to win Conference Player of the Year
twice at 2 different schools?
Yeah, twice at 2 different schools. Potentially.
Jalen Hurts, did he do that?
Maybe
Yeah.
for Bama.
It's definitely coming down the line though. Huge win for Texas State. Excited to watch that Arizona State game. Middle Tennessee got waxed by Ole Miss. We kind of talked about that. That's a horrible game. 52-3. Shout out to Ole Miss. Virginia Tech 31, Marshall 14. Marshall gets the cover for me.
Took Tech all game to pull away.
And Marshall even like they had a couple 4th down stops or a couple 4th down failures in red zone territory that would have made the game a lot closer. Patty C, I'm still not buying into Virginia Tech. I watched them, and yes, Jalen Lane did have a long punt return for a touchdown, but they don't pass the eye test to me.
Yeah. And
they're at Old Dominion next week, which I'm sure Old Dominion's quarterback will find a way to lose that game. But then they're home to Rutgers. I forgot. I thought Rutgers was next week and Old Dominion was the week after. Other way around.
Both of those games are very losable.
Yeah. Dude, I look at the remaining of the schedule. At Old Dominion, home to Rutgers, at Miami, at Stanford, home to Boston College, home to Georgia Tech, at Syracuse, home to Clemson, at Duke, home to UVA. All those are losable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to lose all of them, but I am definitely convinced that they are not a contender.
Does Brent Pry? Is there any chance in year 3 here that what record would get him fired?
5-7.
That would get him fired
Maybe.
after year 3 at Tech.
4-8.
Him being like a Virginia Tech, guy from the 90s.
That's true. I don't know.
He was only there.
They'll give him a 4th year, right?
Probably give him a 4th year, but what would keep him from getting that 4th year?
Shane Beamer.
Yeah. But
What if Shane Beamer goes 6-6?
Gets canned by South Carolina? Or sees the writing on the wall and jumps while he's still able to? He'd probably be smart to do that because I don't think Shane Beamer is going to do a whole lot better than that most years. And he can do better than that at Virginia Tech probably. So yeah, maybe Shane Beamer wises up and takes that Tech job, and Tech wises up and gives it to him. However, I'm not writing off Virginia Tech entirely with pride this year.
I don't know that I just see him as a team that can win the ACC championship. When I watch even like Syracuse, they have difference makers that I don't see at Virginia Tech.
The drones not only they don't have
that's not PI. Get the fuck out of here.
outside of drones. Drones is still a playmaker, but he makes terrible decisions. They call PI.
Give me a replay of this. What do you think of this? Boise State, Oregon, 34-34, 1:30 left in the game.
Pass interference on.
Let me see a replay of this. I didn't think it was. Maybe I missed a grab or something.
They're holding hands.
Oh man, that's weak.
Yeah,
that's fucking weak, man.
Oregon dude's grabbing his hand.
That's
weak. That's fucking
really
weak.
Fucking weak. What have we done to this sport, man? Right?
It's bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Tech is probably an ACC contender at this point. And I think out of their first 4 games, Marshall is probably the worst of the 4 teams that they're going to play based on what we've seen so far. Because ODU has looked solid. Rutgers is 2-0 and has managed to put up 40 points in both of their games, even if they've dressed it up at the end. And then Vanderbilt looks unstoppable. So yeah, maybe Virginia Tech has like 2 more losses in their non-conference slate before they even start conference ball.
Yeah. I'm just not there. And I'm not there on that being pass interference ever. I don't care if that was on Colorado or East Carolina. That's just not pass interference.
How many timeouts? Boise has 3 timeouts left. This is a tough spot for them.
Yeah. And that's a huge penalty though, man. Patty C, South Alabama, Ohio, the Bobcats. Tim Albin says, take my whole team. I'll just win games with the backups. And that's what's happening. And look, they looked pretty good against Syracuse despite the loss. Ohio Bobcats get it done 27-20 against South Alabama. It's a big win. South Alabama goes to what? 0-2 now.
That is a big
that
win.
Major Applewhite thing. Maybe it ain't gonna work out.
Pretty impressive for Ohio. Were they 10-3 last year?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Keeping it going.
Yeah.
Not bad.
What yard line? We got a 122 left. Oregon at I think it's like the 30. No, the 20. Geez. And they're gonna win this game.
They're just gonna run the clock out now.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Dude, how do they fuck that up? They fuck up the fumble at the 1 yard line. This is what I'm saying. Oh, geez, that's a bad spot, I think, though. East Carolina, well, they won. Put some money on them, of course.
Nice performance.
I mean, we should have won by more. When you look at if Jake Garcia threw 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns,
dude,
Patty C.
That's 7 in 2 games. Let him score. Oh.
Yeah, you probably should have let him score. But Patty C, this is where I feel good about ECU. Is they had almost 500 yards of offense compared to 287 for Old Dominion. They just got to take better care of the ball. But a win is a win is a win on the road. They're SB Ballard Stadium. They get it done. Where are you at with my Pirates?
A lot higher than you are, but you pointed out several times throughout the game that Mike Houston's inability to coach special teams continues to be a problem.
In my opinion, we've had the worst special teams in the AAC over the past 5 years, and it's never addressed.
Has
we had
Houston
a missed
been
extra
there for
point.
all 5 years?
Yeah, we've had a missed extra point. They gave up a kick return, a punt return for a touchdown. Luckily, the was holding. They called it, but still, plenty of times they don't call that holding.
He's had a pretty long tenure there.
Yeah, that's why it's a big year.
Cincinnati came and went, and he's still there in ECU. Yeah, but 2-0.
Yeah. We are at 43 seconds. I can't believe what they're going to give Oregon this bullshit. They're gonna give him this bullshit. This is a missed extra point he had earlier. Gardner Webb 6, JMU 13. You got the win. We talked about that. Miami rolled Florida A&M 56-9. West Virginia bodied the Great Danes of Albany. But how about the airport of Florida International getting it done 52-16 against your Chips?
That was surprising.
Told you, man. Watch out for my guy Mike McIntyre. I actually think they're going to be a bowl team. I'm on the over with that.
I expected Central Michigan to dominate them. They got their asses whooped. I guess you can't take away that much from, whipping lesser competition in week 1.
Yeah. UCF 45, Sam Houston 14. That was very impressive. UCF.
How do you put up 45 points? What was they didn't throw the ball much, did they? They didn't. And 169 passing yards for KJ Jefferson. They still managed to put up 45 points.
Yeah, RJ Harvey had I feel like he had $130 or something.
Went off. 126.
Yeah.
4 rushing touchdowns.
He's a beast.
RJ Harvey.
He's
wow.
a beast. Yeah, I mean, look, that's a big win because Sam Houston looked really good week 1. So I think that's a good performance there from UCF. I needed to see that because I didn't really like the performance against New Hampshire despite blowing them out.
Yeah. They're a Big 12 contender.
Yes, certainly. 2nd and goal for Oregon at the 7-yard line in Boise territory there. And
let them score.
They have 3 timeouts. How many timeouts do they have? They don't have any anymore. This game's over.
Yeah, it's like line up for a field.
So that bullshit call where he drops the ball at the 1-yard line is going to dictate the outcome of this game.
Yeah.
Stanford 41, Cal Poly 7. All right.
Good bounce back spot for Stanford.
I wanted to say there. I will say this though, that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pickup gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. The NFL is back, and there are a ton of pickup specials to get you started. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So what do you do? It's sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick, plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. Petty C, Tulsa, Arkansas State. I had Tulsa plus 7.5, but I also had the money line, and I feel robbed. Tulsa's dumbass defensive end throwing Rayner down.
That was bad.
To end the game, a late hit to end the game that essentially, Tulsa was about to get the ball back.
Yeah.
Tulsa was up big too. You want to know the phoniest team in the country? Arkansas State won last week, but on a call that was an incomplete pass in the end zone against Central Arkansas in the FCS.
Yeah.
And then this
week, what is it? 4th and 6.
Yes.
They're about to have to punt.
And then a dumbass penalty by a Tulsa defensive lineman.
Slams the,
Tulsa was up majority of this game.
Yep.
They're the phoniest team in the country. Jalen Rayners is good, but yeah, Tulsa still covered for me, so I can play my music, but didn't hit on the money line.
2 ticks on the clock. You know what we need right now?
What's that?
We need karma from Boise State against Nevada, like circa 20.
This is like a 10-yard field goal, though. This is such a crock of shit. I'm very mad at this game because I just feel like how can the refs miss a play that's that huge? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like this is a 99-yard kick return where he drops the ball.
Yeah,
and for you to miss that call in the 4th quarter of a game that's going to have major influence on the 12-team fucking playoff.
To only spend like 45 seconds reviewing it. Now I hope Boise State gets the 12 seed. Oregon somehow managed to get the 5 seed, and we have a rematch.
I mean, when you look at it, Oregon had a punt return and a kick return for a touchdown. I kind of think Boise's the better team today. Here we go. Just an easy field goal. And Oregon wins.
Nonsense.
Phony bullshit. If I'm Boise State, you send that. I expect an apology to the Mountain West and Boise State from that. That guy should be fired. He should no longer be employed. Yeah. Anyone in the panel or whatever, the control room should be fired. Yeah. What else? Chattanooga did not beat Georgia State. They did cover for me. Georgia State wins by 3. Shout out to Del McGee getting his first win of being a head coach of the Panthers at Georgia State. Patty C. Colorado State didn't look very good. They only beat Northern Colorado by 21, and even with that, Northern Colorado and Ed Lamb were terrible last season. So I'm a little
3 touchdown victory. You can't really, we didn't watch much of this game, so it's hard to say whether you can't really shit
I know,
on it.
but my point is like Incarnate Word beat them by 21 the week before. Is like I thought it would be a little bit more of an.
Well, that should be encouraging to you as a Buffs fan going into, or they're hosting. No,
they're hosting.
Buffs are hosting next week.
No. Colorado State's
hosting.
Then we have how about San Jose State? Ken Niumatalolo 17, Air Force 7, Patty C.
Wow.
San Jose State 2-0, and they got Kennesaw State on deck. They might be 3-0.
Air Force finally regressing.
I told you
after a long.
I remember
era
our guy. Shout out to Rick. Let me know.
Rick Baum.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out to San Jose State. 17-7. They get it done against Air Force.
Granted, San Jose State should have been in the Mountain West Championship game last year, so
they did get robbed.
Maybe we don't overreact and we give Air Force a little bit of a break, but still, barely beating Merrimack, and then who UConn annihilated this week, and then San Jose State holding them to 7. Probably time to worry if you're an Air Force fan.
Yes, and time to worry if you're an Eastern Kentucky fan, because this has been a Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky big time rivalry. Western Kentucky blocked Eastern Kentucky from coming to the Conference USA. And then, Western Kentucky has been wearing the same home uniforms for their first home game for like 50 years. And Eastern Kentucky gets to pick their colors. Made it so Western couldn't wear their uniforms. And then I was buying into Eastern Kentucky in the points. I did place a wager on this. I ate shit. Western Kentucky 31, Eastern Kentucky nothing. A lot of shit talk on social media too. Please play this game more often. Please play this game. We like this. This is college football at its finest. 31-0 tops, get it done. I also ate shit on Kennesaw State. They were up 7-0. I was feeling good. And ever since then, Louisiana scored 34-3 since that moment. The Raging Cajuns take down the Owls of Kennesaw State, who are heading to San Jose next.
It's going to be a tough year for Kennesaw. Well, they were like 3-6 last year in the FCS in an abbreviated schedule, and then made the jump to FBS off of a 3-6 year.
Yeah,
they could be 0-12 this year.
Yeah, no, they're gonna get a couple.
You think?
Maybe. Missouri 38, Buffalo nothing. Nice win for the Tigers. I still have no fucking idea if Missouri's any good.
Yeah.
We find out they play Boston College next week. I have no idea. Who did I thought that game was going to be horrible.
Was that game pretty good last year?
Boston College beat them.
Boston College beat
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
This is the backup. The home and home.
Second entry,
Florida beat the shit out of Samford, 45-7. I don't know what to make of that.
Lagway, I believe, was today's leading passer. 18-25, 456, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
I mean, Samford just lost to West Georgia the week before, a D2 school going. So, I mean, I don't know what to deduce. They're Florida, coming to the FCS. But
you can't give them any crap for not challenging themselves because they probably have the hardest schedule in the entire country. But
yeah,
this one was not a challenge.
Southern Miss 35, Sela 10. Nice win for the Golden Eagles. They needed that. Virginia 31, Wake Forest 30. This one kills me because I feel like Wake was the better team. I disagree with your assessment, and I feel like if Taylor Morin doesn't fumble the ball and Donovan Green could pick it up instead of trying to run, just land on it, then I think Wake Forest wins that game.
Well, I thought these teams were genuinely before the game very evenly matched, and throughout the game, that was kind of confirmed.
I mean, Wake was up majority of this game, dude.
Total yardage, they did outgain them by 114 yards.
Bachmeier threw for 400. And by the way, shout out to I hope you cashed in on the prop. I tweeted out of Anthony Calandria over 300 passing yards at plus 140, I believe it was.
He's a baller and he makes plays with his legs too.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, Wake is back a little bit. With Bachmeier at the helm, I think they're players in the ACC. They might be in the picture.
They should have won this game.
I'd have to look at Wake's schedule. What is Wake's schedule? Is it a tough? Do they get a lot of tough games?
Well, they're 1-1 now. That's a huge loss. They got Ole Miss on deck.
Well, that doesn't count.
And
really.
then in conference, they're at NC State, home to Clemson, at Stanford, home to Cal, at North Carolina. They're all the same. This is like the Big 12. Okay, they can make a bowl.
Well, we say that about Clemson, but maybe it's time we shine a little light on what happened in that game against App State.
Wow. Maybe the biggest shocker for me.
I had intended to watch that game.
They had 56 points at halftime.
Yeah.
Clemson won 66
we were
to 20.
immersed in some of the other games that were ending at that point in the day, and I was planning on putting Clemson on the big screen, against App, because I thought App would hang. Boy, by the time we looked at the score, it was already over.
Good God, I did not see that one coming. I mean, I thought Clemson would win the game.
Hey, Klubnik, what was it? 24 of 26.
How did they only had they had 700 yards of offense, 712 yards. Garrett Riley, you once coached at Appalachian State. How about some respect?
Yeah.
Woo.
Woo. Well, Clemson answered the questions as to whether they have any offensive potency.
712 yards of offense.
Which makes you think, how damn good is Georgia's defense? Woo.
Good Lord. What else do we got on the slate here? South Florida 16, Alabama 42. This score is complete bullshit. Score.
This is the most misleading score of the day.
Like 16 to what was this? It was like
14 to 13 for a long time there.
Just ran it up.
By the way, I question I question the decision to go for 1, down by 2.
Yeah. But still,
By
Alabama apparently turned it on.
I think USF just broke. Their hearts broke when they couldn't.
Bama's at Wisconsin and then home to Georgia and then at Vanderbilt. And they're not going to go undefeated in all three of those.
Yeah, there are some red flags with Bama. Danny Cannell calling out
the holding calls. Yeah. Well, I mean, he does the shtick shitting on the SEC, which look, I get it.
Yeah, and he's a Florida guy.
Yeah. But some of those holding calls were a little questionable.
Yeah.
A little questionable.
Once again, blue bloods just happen to get the calls most of the time.
Shout out to Kalen DeBoer, who continues to win, and shout out to Bryant Vincent. Revenge, Patty C. Bryant Vincent went 7-6 as UAB's interim head coach. He was part of the staff with Bill Clark that waited it out when they didn't have a football program, right?
Yeah.
7-6 wasn't good enough for UAB. They told him to take a hike. He went to New Mexico as an OC last year, really improved their offense. Took the head coaching position at ULM.
Boom.
What did they do today? General Booty.
What was the score?
Bryant Vincent, 32-6. Get your Trent Dilfer shit out of here. ULM is 2-0, Patty C.
Wow. Against the old.
And they got Texas on deck. Watch out, Longhorns. General Booty or Quinn Ewers. I'm sorry. General Booty is going to light them up.
That's a classic example of revenge is a dish best served cold. You have to wait a couple years to get it, but boom. Does it feel good when you do?
Yes, and shout out to Clay Helton and Georgia Southern, who snuck by Nevada 20-17. There's 6 points scored in the entire second half. Georgia Southern gets a nice road win in Reno, but what was that spread? I feel like that was right.
That's
on
a
the
big
number,
win.
right?
Georgia Southern, kept it pretty close against Boise.
Yeah,
I think Georgia Southern is actually a player in the Sun Belt. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah, Sun Belt seems so down. I think Coastal is the favorite now in the
Coastal's
East.
awesome.
Texas State's the favorite to win it, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Southern's in there.
What did Coastal do this week?
They beat the piss out of William and Mary, 40-21. I even think they got dressed up a little bit by
That's
William and Mary.
One of the few conferences that still has divisions.
Yeah.
So
Texas State's going to win the West. Although
Coastal,
Louisiana looked good today.
Coastal looks like the favorite to win the East right now.
Yeah.
That's a good conference championship game.
But that conference is down right now because Troy and South Alabama suck. App doesn't look like the same app.
JMU kind of sucks.
Yeah. So I think it's down a little bit.
Yep.
What do we got? Kansas 17, Illinois 23. The Illini did hit for me. There was something about this game that I just thought Illinois would win this game. The line didn't make sense to me. And I just knew Illinois was going to win this game.
Well, Illinois looked great last week, and Kansas, I guess, a little questionable last week. And it was in Champaign, but still.
Yeah,
I just figured Kansas was so far.
I wish I would have bet this.
What stood out about this is Luke Altmaier. I said at some point that he has to become Joe Montana if they're going to have a great year.
Yeah.
He became Joe Montana. Luke Altmaier was awesome today.
Shout out to the Illini. Big win for them. 23-17. Rice beat Texas Southern and Chris Dishman 69-7, Patty C. The Rice Owls back.
I guess so. Maybe Army needs to worry about them. That game's coming up. 69 points. How many did EJ Warner throw for?
I believe he threw for a cool 189.
How do you score 69 points when you only
put him on the bench? I think. Right.
Let me take a look at that box score.
I know Dean Connors, our boy Dean Connors, had 3 touchdowns.
Is he the backup?
No, he's the running back. He was a stud.
Rice, look, they only threw for 204 yards the entire game. They ran for 329. Apparently, Rice has a destructive running attack.
Rivalry game, North Texas. Stephen F. Austin, North Texas wins 35-20. North Texas moves to 2-0. They might be on the Arkansas State bin of like phony 2-0. But hey, 2-0 is 2-0. Ohio State showed up. They looked for real. 56-0 against Michigan or Western Michigan and Lance Taylor, who had looked pretty good at Wisconsin the week prior. Nice win. The Buckeyes looked much better today, in my opinion, than a week ago.
How many did that stud receiver for them? That freshman. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Jeremiah Smith had 100. He had 5 for 119 and a score. 6 targets, so almost everything thrown his way was caught.
Yeah.
Patty C, Diego Pissing Pavia and Vanderbilt are 2-0, 55-0 against Alcorn State.
I want to take a peek ahead and see what they're.
Pavia threw for a cool 83 yards.
Not Heisman numbers like
you didn't need to pass the ball. You didn't need to pass the ball. They were just dominating so much. You just take a day off. All right. Pavia ran for 51 and had a score. So don't shit on him too much here.
Upcoming a road trip to Georgia State.
Win.
Probably a win.
They're gonna be 3-0.
And then on the second end of the back-to-back, a road trip to Missouri.
Win. 4-0.
Wow. Bold statement, but believable.
When Pissing Pavia comes to your town.
Let me tell you what, if they get both of those, they have a bye week before hosting Alabama.
Let's go.
Alabama, meanwhile, will be coming off the Georgia game. A huge letdown spot, or maybe a body blow by Georgia, more likely.
Let's go.
Maybe Vandy could take advantage of it. If Vandy beats Alabama and starts 5-0,
let's fucking go. Jerry Kill, president.
Yeah, and really, Clark Lee, you got to give credit for bringing in Jerry Kill
and his whole staff.
More than anyone, Diego Pissing Pavia.
Oh yeah, you're goddamn right.
Becomes a Vanderbilt legend.
Patty C, I'm concerned about LSU. 44-21 against Nichols, and this was like an 8-point game. I actually, like I said, I didn't have the greatest day today because I placed a late wager on LSU and they looked like shit.
To their credit, they pulled away when they needed to.
Still, you're playing fucking Nichols, bro.
Yeah.
Lone Wolf McQuaid, Pat McQuaid there, the quarterback of Nichols, 12 of 16 for 113. But it's not that, Patty C. It's the running back situation at Nichols. Colin Guggenheim, 25 rushes for 145 yards, 6 yards a rush just about. 2 touchdowns. Don't let Guggenheim loose.
Nichols, who lost to Louisiana Tech by 8 last week, gave LSU a run for their money. Maybe Brian Kelly finds himself on the hot seat if he keeps this behavior up.
I do worry. I always thought it was a weird fit. They were up 2 at half against Nichols. That ain't they were up 9 8,
at half.
I think. Yeah, or 9, yeah, something like that. But still, I mean, it's fucking Nichols, and you're coming back from Vegas in a game you lost.
They were up 2 in the third quarter. It was 21-23. At that point, LSU fans had to be ready to. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet.
He must have been referring to that rivalry against Nichols, where he has won all of his games.
That's right.
Tennessee 51, Pussy Pack 10, NC State. Look, this one was easy money. I did bet this one.
What did Nico Ocho throw for?
All I know is Tennessee looks fucking damn good, but also NC State looks like shit because I don't know if you know this, Patty C. Western Carolina lost at home to Campbell today in the FCS. So Western Carolina, who looked so good at Carter Finley, maybe they're not that good. Nico threw for only 211, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6, but the game was out of reach, man. Dylan, let me talk to Sampson. Had a huge day, 132 yards on the ground. Meanwhile, the big story is the NC State offense. Hollywood Smothers couldn't get it going. Grayson McCall, aka Big Bird, I don't think played very well. This was domination. This was absolute domination, Patty C. Big Bird was 15 of 22 for 104 and a pick. 4 yards of completion.
Let's project Tennessee if you will allow us.
I have them in my playoff.
Okay, but against the SEC, against Georgia, we've kind of already seen what they can do, which I think they're going to fall short against Georgia. That Josh Heupel gimmick will get exposed against the
but everybody
team.
else.
Texas, I think, might be vulnerable. Play Texas. Oh, they don't play them. Yeah. But if they had to play them in the Big 12 championship, I still think Tennessee could maybe just outgun Texas. You know, I don't know that Texas has the ability to shut down that offense.
Yeah.
And then Ole Miss, they're kind of birds of a feather. Whoever has the last possession in that game is probably going to win. And then who else?
No, they're going to the playoff. They have a great schedule.
Tennessee.
They have a great schedule. Yeah. Besides them playing Diego Pavia.
And so does Ole Miss. So that's probably your playoff at this point. If we're projecting from the SEC, 4 teams:
don't give me
Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee in any particular order. I don't know.
A&M hadn't looked. I mean, A&M at LSU and Bama have been kind of done.
They're all out.
Yeah,
they're all out.
They look bad
if they perform anything like the way they have,
fucking horrible.
Yeah,
Mizzou could be the wild card that you're not seeing.
Yeah, who does Mizzou play?
Boston College next.
No, but who does Mizzou?
They have a very favorable schedule in conference.
Of those 4 teams I just mentioned, Texas, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee.
I believe Mizzou misses all of them.
Wow.
Maybe they get Ole Miss. I think they miss a lot of those teams.
I'm going to try and get it pulled up, but talk about the next game.
Colorado 10, Nebraska 28. This game was ridiculous.
You put this one off until side B. Didn't want to talk about this one
chronologically. I'm going fucking chronologically.
Sure. I just feel like maybe it was a game of more importance that the fans would want to hear your opinion on.
This one sucked. Fucking look.
They do miss all 4 of those teams.
Yeah, incredible, right?
Unbelievable. Missouri's probably going to the play. They might send 5 to the play.
Patty C, was this more about Colorado being horrible than Nebraska being good? Because that's the way I felt. I felt like Colorado is the most predictable team. They're never coached great.
Colorado, what jumped off the screen right away is you need to develop your quick passing game.
Yeah,
like there is a reason that Shedeur Sanders was the most sacked quarterback in the country last year.
They're too predictable on offense. The shotgun run on 4th and 1 is so obvious, and it never works with that offensive line. You have to do other things. They tried that shit to Charlie Alfredahl on like the second drive, whatever it was, and it didn't work against North Dakota State. Yeah. It didn't work last season when they were doing it with Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
No, it's their offense. It's very frustrating. In one way, I'm happy because Deion's brought talent into Colorado that they haven't had in a long time. But do I think they're poorly coached? I do. Do I think their clock management is always terrible? I do.
Yeah.
And I think until I see otherwise, I don't even know. Like Nebraska's defense was good. The pick 6 was good, and Nebraska's defense was really good last year. I thought against Colorado as well.
But that wasn't even. I mean,
I don't even think they were that good. Like Rayola's 1 touchdown should have been a pick 6.
Dude, Deion had Shedeur throw a pass. I don't know if it was Deion, but Shedeur threw a pass at his own goal line, like 40 yards across the field.
That's what I'm saying. Pat Shurmur. I was not a fan of them bringing in Pat Shurmur. I don't think he's a very good offensive coordinator. I don't like the offensive philosophy. I hate how you can't run between the tackles when you need to, or at any point in the fucking game, right? I actually like if they were not Colorado, who I've rooted for my whole life, I would probably not like this team from an offensive philosophy, like
identity standpoint.
Yes, they bother me. They play like pussy ball.
Yeah, they play big.
They're like a CFL team. They play like a CFL team.
Yeah,
like.
Well, Deion is basically like a high school coach. That is coaching.
But still, like, I'm happy that you have the talent, and I'm hoping they take that next jump. his clock management has been fucking atrocious since he's been there. But really, like, come on, man. Like, I don't think this game was there for it. Now, like I said, Raiola throws that one pass. Bentley, Bentley deflects the ball. It should have been an interception and maybe a pick six, but instead it ends up being a touchdown for Nebraska. But still, Nebraska still dominated this game. It was
Deion must have made some adjustments, or maybe Nebraska really dialed it back in the second half. But Nebraska didn't score really. What was it at halftime?
It was 28-0.
28-0. So Nebraska didn't manage any points in the second half.
And I actually think Colorado's defense wasn't that bad today. It was the offense, and they're just so goddamn predictable.
Yeah,
they're so predictable. It's like, oh, bubble screen. Oh, guess what? A 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. Let's try a Charlie Offerdahl run with this shitty offensive line that will not. It's not going to give you anything, and you're going to do it out of the gun. You'd have more success if you lined up under center and Shedeur Sanders just QB sneaked it. You really would.
Yeah.
You would have more success with that. That's the frustrating part. I didn't come away with this thinking Nebraska is some good team. Raiola threw for like what, $185, and that touchdown was on a gimmick fucking deflection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't come away with it.
Oh, that was tough. That could have gone for a pick six for Colorado. Ended up being a touchdown for Nebraska. Yeah. So Nebraska, you're right, wasn't by itself super impressive.
But they should still celebrate that. Nebraska's had such shitty times lately.
They did whoop their ass.
They did. They're up. Anytime you're up 28-0 in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My non-expert ass would say though that Colorado needs to develop just like the fundamentals, like a short passing game.
Oh,
an off tackle run.
I was about to say that. Like, to me, like they're a gimmick team right now, man.
Yeah.
Like their shit is very predictable. I did think the defense took a step in the right direction though. If I'm looking at the good points of this game, I thought Colorado's defense actually, and some of those targeting calls were fucking horrible. Once again, don't get me started.
How do you project Colorado to do in against Colorado State next week and into Big 12 play?
Well, Colorado State looks like shit. The good news is Colorado State does not look very good so far this season. Now, granted, they played Texas week 1, but I wasn't encouraged today watching the Northern Colorado game by any means. So that means Colorado's got a winnable game there. Honestly, like that's probably the most lethal environment Colorado will play in this season.
They host Utah later in the season, right?
Yeah, they host Utah. So
do they have to go to?
No,
Oklahoma
they play at
State?
UCF. They play at UCF. That's lethal, but
it's going to be a tough season for Colorado unless they get something.
They could still,
out.
but like Arizona just barely beat Northern Arizona. You know what I mean? Like Kansas State probably should have lost to Tulane today.
Yeah, I think they'll
like
be
those are still winnable games, but
in almost every game except
they can get
Utah.
to a bowl. They can get to a bowl, but I would just like them. I say ignore all that bullshit, but also bowling.
Hello,
and just make your team better. Like run between the fucking tackles. Like if it takes like firing Pat Shurmur, it's just stop with the fucking gimmicks. If I see one more damn bubble screen, it's just like, good God. Okay.
Yeah, we know you have some speed on the perimeter,
yes.
but like draw up a real game plan. Don't
I just feel like you give that to another coach, that a good coach, then they're going to be like, no, we got to do this because you actually have
establish the run. Do some play action.
I understand the offensive line is not good, but I also think there's ways to disguise that. And we don't really take some of that is bubble screens, but I just think there's other ways to do it, and there's other ways to do.
Well, I would be curious to see what Colorado's highest rushing total is in the Deion Sanders era.
Well, today they rushed for what? Hayden had like 30 yards rushing. They total if you count because the sack yardage counts. They only had 16 rushing yards. If that's just ridiculous though.
You're not going to win with that.
Yeah. Patty C. What else do we have? The fucking Long Island Sharks. They lost 45-0 to TCU.
Didn't see that one making it on the
Houston,
today.
Oklahoma. Houston, like we said, kind of got robbed on a bullshit safety. Oklahoma may have still very well won that game, but it was a horrible call.
The big takeaway from that game doesn't have anything to do with either of those teams. It has to do with UNLV, who annihilated Houston last week.
Yeah,
and then Oklahoma barely beats Houston this week.
Yeah, I have a lot of concern moving forward about Oklahoma's offense.
Yeah.
Like they might get through Tulane next week, but after that,
no, this is Tennessee, a very hard schedule.
Yeah,
they
have Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Bama, LSU. I don't know if this offense will be good to beat any of those teams.
Yeah, let me see. Venables?
They had 249 yards of offense against fucking Houston, Patty C.
That ain't cutting it. This is year 3 for Venables.
Yeah.
If he goes 6-6, is he canned?
Nah, they just extended him. They just did it like a month ago.
Foolish.
I mean, I guess it's SEC money, so I guess they could still fire you, but not sold on Oklahoma by any means. Southern Utah beat UTEP, Patty C. The FCS just continues to beat these FBS teams. Shout out to the Thunderbirds. UTEP, Scotty Walden, 0-2 now, and that's Nebraska's first win was UTEP. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that Nebraska's any good, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
How did North Dakota State do this week?
They whooped up on Tennessee State, who had won one game before against Mississippi Valley State, who's horrible. So, yeah.
Still, for Colorado to get a team,
I think they won like 45-0 or something too. I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't know what to take away from Colorado. It's still too early to really understand what we've seen.
No, I wish their philosophy was better.
Yeah,
they play cha shit to me.
Yeah.
Washington State, Mike Leach, honoring my friend. May he rest in peace. Washington State 37, Texas Tech 16. You don't just walk in to Pullman and get the dub.
What was the final on that?
37-16.
Woo. Send game day to Seattle next
Patty
week.
C. Washington State's gonna go. This is the team now. Short of the Boise and next week, if they win next week, I'm telling you, you look at the remaining schedule. Now they got to go to Corvallis on the 23rd. But I think Washington State could go 11-1 or something.
Let me tell you what. If Wazoo was kept out of the New Year's Six after going 10-2 in favor of a 9-3 Florida team with 2 FCS teams on their schedule that year, then it's possible that they could be left out of the playoff.
Let's go 12-0, and they're like not good enough for the 12-team playoff. I bet, right?
Yeah. They don't have the Group of 5, even possibility of getting the Group of 5 playoff berth because they're essentially an independent right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
they're beating Washington next week.
12-0 gets them in.
Lock it up. They're beating Washington.
11-1 might not, unfortunately.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
They're playing a Mountain West schedule essentially, and come on, let's beat Washington. Who do you think will win that game?
I think Washington State will.
I think Washington State will too.
Look, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on moneyline spreads, totals, and props. The Rhythm college football model had us on Colorado, North Dakota State under, which cashed. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. I just witnessed this when I was at the Oakland Coliseum, paying my respects to that fine establishment. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets, or college football, or comedy, whatever. Theater, you're gonna go see Book of Mormon or something? Check it out. I hope you cashed on BYU moneyline last night because I did. That was my Book of Mormon for you. Boom. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Should we talk about last night's games at all?
Yeah.
Duke Northwestern is the most boring game every single year. It's unwatchable football.
Yeah. And the chat saying Billy Sims played at Oklahoma, not Pitt. I was thinking of Billy West. Billy West played running back with Curtis Martin at Pitt, and that's what I got confused with Billy Sims. I knew Billy Sims went to Oklahoma.
That's a pull.
Yeah.
Billy West.
Well, I was trying to say Billy West. I said Billy Sims, but if you go back to the mid-90s, there was a running back named Billy West that was a beast for Pitt.
There you go.
My apologies on the fuck up. I know Billy Sims though from Oklahoma, but
I like our fans chiming in.
I like Billy Sims with
keeping us in order here.
Do you remember the karate kick play he had in the NFL?
Billy
with the
Sims.
Lions?
Oh yeah, for the Lions.
Great karate kick play.
Amazing.
Yeah. But Patty C, what do you make of BYU taking down By the way, that was a huge win. By the way, the ACC against the Big Ten. You had North Carolina take down Minnesota. You had Duke take down Northwestern, both at their place.
Nice. How'd the ACC do against the Big 12 though? So obviously,
well, Pitt came back and got Cincy. But obviously BYU took down
SMU. That was
and
a
TCU
really
took down Stanford.
Yeah, that was a really good game though. BYU SMU. I thought for a second there SMU might have had them. For more than a second, SMU was in a pretty good position, but BYU got it done. Both of those teams look like they have taken a step forward and are respectable this year.
Yeah. Shout out to Eric who goes, I just woke up after passing out hammered watching Kentucky get their ass kicked in person. Time to start drinking again. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Eric. Cheers. Yes. Patty C. Other outcomes we have Fresno State 46, Sac State 30. Shout out to Fresno and Tim Skipper getting his first regular season win as head coach after Jeff Tedford stepped down. Boise State obviously 34, Oregon 37. But this should not hurt Boise, right?
I think it's going to interesting that both
to play at Autzen Stadium.
It could be the same weekend that the two favorites for the Group of 5 playoff spot take their loss in, which is week 2. If Tulane manages to run the table for the rest of the way, and Boise does, I would say the Boise loss is a little.
Boise outgained Oregon.
Yeah, Boise losing on the road.
Two special teams touchdowns and a chicken shit call.
If both, let me say this: if both those teams end up 12-1 conference champions with 1 loss, both belong in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Tulane and Boise. But the fact that Boise played, I mean, they basically played identical games against Kansas. Oh, were the final scores the same? 34-27, I think, in both of them or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So I don't know which team is better. Who would you have if you had to start the playoff right now and you had to choose between Tulane and Boise? Who would you put in?
I put Boise in. That was more impressive to me. Because Tulane was at home. Boise had to go into one of the most dangerous, hostile.
But Oregon sucked ass last week.
Okay, but Kansas State played UT Martin. How good is Kansas State? You know what I mean?
It's fair. I kind of agree with you after this point, but barely. And the rest of the season could easily change my opinion on that. But through 2 weeks, I'll give Boise a very slight edge over Tulane.
The Flaming Libs of Liberty, they rallied and won 30-24 against New Mexico State. Wow, down 8 in the fourth quarter.
They ended up winning?
They scored 21 in the fourth, Patty C.
Oh, wow.
And they got it done.
Well, wait, Boise and who they just New Mexico State. I guess you could say that was probably one of the harder games on their schedule. So remaining tough games. App State's one we circled that might be a loss because it's on the road for Liberty.
Yeah,
but that doesn't look so hard right now. And then ECU does look a little harder, but still Liberty could easily
watch out for the Flaming Libs.
End up undefeated again and get that spot.
Arizona State beats Mississippi State 30-23. Mississippi State scored like 23 unanswered or something, or 20 unanswered. But Arizona State 2-0.
Too late.
Yes, big win for the Big 12 there.
Yeah.
SEC takes another L. That's what I'm saying. The SEC, when you think about Arkansas,
SEC's having a down year.
They're down, dude. Yeah. I mean, yes, you brought in Texas.
Yeah. 2/3 of that conference is having a down year so far.
Yeah. And then BYU beat SMU last night. How impressed were you? Even though Rat's ass at the quarterback spot almost. He did his best.
I was not super impressed with him.
BYU's defense though was impressive.
Yeah. Who is the guy that SMU brought in place of Stone?
Stone? SMU. The quarterback that won them, Jennings, that won him the game last year.
He was pretty impressive.
Kevin Jennings, I think it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, SMU was fool's gold, dude. Me and NC Nick were all over this.
Dude, I don't know if I buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean SMU beat.
Should have lost to
Nevada, but they beat them.
Okay.
And Nevada's proven to be a decent team so far.
They lost tonight.
Who'd they lose to?
Georgia Southern.
Okay, so assuming, I mean that was the score to the Nevada Georgia Southern game was what?
20-17.
20-17. But barely lost to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern team that kept it somewhat respectable against Boise. I'm not saying that
SMU is going to be like 6-6 this year.
Yeah, but they're not complete.
Well, the win total is 8.5.
Yeah. We all took the under.
They went out and spent a shit ton of money. They raised $160 million.
The under was the most obvious lock for all of us.
Yeah. Oregon State 21, San Diego State nothing. I ate shit on this play, which capped off my losing day today.
Oregon State.
Beavs, Civil War next week. Could they beat Oregon?
Is
this a letdown spot for
what
Oregon?
Did Oregon State do week 1?
They beat Idaho State. FCS.
All right, not that impressive, but I love that both the Pac-12 leftovers, the Pac-2 teams are undefeated at this point in the season, and they both have their rivalry game next week. They very well could beat Oregon in the Civil War. That would be amazing.
Please, it's in Corvallis.
Let's have Wazoo in the Apple Cup.
Yes,
and Oregon State win the.
Let's go.
That would be amazing.
Patty
Civil
C.
War.
Duke is 2-0. I know we talked about that. You said it was a boring game. Manny Diaz though 2-0 is 2-0.
I'll give it credit. They flexed at the end. Quarterback for Duke,
Malik Murphy. They got UConn on deck.
Really looked good at the end of that game.
Dude, if they can get past UConn, which I think UConn's better than Duke, but if they get past UConn, they're at Middle Tennessee, which they're horrible. Middle Tennessee's like a bottom 5 team to me. And then you have the Carolina game. Those games are always insane. And also Manny Diaz was fired by Mac Brown. So there's some built up. Hey, could Duke be 5-0? Unbelievable.
Manny Diaz has amazing hair on the sideline. It is just like impeccable.
What do you think of your boy Kurt Signetti in Indiana winning 77-3 against the Leathernecks of Western Illinois
and JMU all over that stat sheet?
That is JMU. No, he took JMU out of the Sun Belt.
Elijah Surratt didn't have a great week 1. He only had like 2 catches.
If you're ever wondering what a Sun Belt team would be like in the Big Ten, it's Indiana.
You can see it right now.
Yeah. Because even their quarterback they got from the MAC, and the Sun Belt's better than the MAC.
3 of the top 6 tacklers, and the top tackler on the team was the JMU grad. That by far the top receiver. 2 of the top 4 rushers, I think, were JMU guys. So yeah, and then Curtis Rourke playing good football. Obviously, 77-3. Western Illinois, not exactly high end competition, but still Indiana.
Yeah.
Google him. He
Kurt
wins.
Signetti.
Yeah.
Who do they got on deck, man? They got, I think, like UCLA. They're gonna fuck up UCLA when they come out here, dude. Isn't that the game?
I think Signetti may finally be the guy that Indiana.
I think so too, dude. Yeah, they get, dude. Next Saturday they're at the Rose Bowl. They're gonna fuck up UCLA. Look for a Dundee lock.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Look, I think Indiana's never had that kind of mojo at the coaching position. Look
dude,
out for the Hoosiers.
They're gonna be 5-0, dude. Because after that they get Biff Poggi and Charlotte without their quarterback. Then the Maryland Terrapins in Bloomington, and then at Northwestern, and then home to Nebraska. This team's winning the goddamn Big Ten.
Indiana.
All right, let's go Hoosiers.
Football school.
Let's go. That's our show. We just recapped every damn game. Did I miss any? I don't think I missed any. Right? I got them all.
That's about it.
Patty, see biggest. Who's the biggest winner today? Give me 2 or 3 teams. Biggest winners.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Smoking NC State.
Northern Illinois.
Yes, absolutely. I want to throw in Army because this was one of the hardest early season games.
Texas State, huge win. What about Power 5?
Impressive
besides Tennessee.
Bowling Green in a losing effort, kind of a win.
Yeah, yeah. The Max showed up a little bit.
No.
Power 5. How about Pitt coming back from down 20 some points to beat your Cincinnati Bearcats?
Big win. Narduzzi
is
a big winner.
Right? Or Gundy, the same. They were down double digits to Arkansas. Came back. Gut check game.
Oklahoma State, massive
Oklahoma
comeback.
State and the Texas Longhorns obviously going into the big house and dominating. All right.
Biggest losers. Who are the biggest losers?
Notre Dame by far.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Like no one's even close to Notre Dame.
Satterfield.
Yeah, Satterfield but still, there's a gap to me. Yeah. Notre Dame. The fact that they continuously do this, lose to teams like this.
Notre Dame just went from a lock for the playoffs to like, they can't lose again.
They better hope Northern Illinois like contends in the MAC, because if they go like 5-7, which they've done, recently, that could be an issue.
I mean, 11-1 Notre Dame with a loss to an average MAC team may miss the playoff, but I still think they probably get in just based on the fact that Notre Dame. But if Notre Dame has 2 losses and one of them is to a MAC team, I don't think that they're getting in no matter what. I don't care if Northern Illinois wins. Maybe if Northern Illinois wins the MAC, then they can be forgiven for that loss. But anything beyond like a MAC championship or a MAC championship berth by Northern Illinois, I think Notre Dame, that's a humongous black guy that's going to cost them a playoff spot at the end of the year if they have one more loss. Which their offense right now, it looks like they're going to have another loss.
I want to throw out a couple more losers.
All right.
Auburn.
Yes. technically and figuratively.
No, I just think like I worry about their season this year. When I watched them today, that offense I think is horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many wins are on your schedule if that offense is what you're throwing out there every week.
Yeah.
Wyoming, I will say the same. And I have Wyoming on the over. When I look at that offense, I think this is a team that could win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, they're gonna have a tough year.
They're gonna have a really tough year.
Yeah.
I also worry about the Oregon Ducks, like Avetta says in the chat. I don't know about Oregon anymore.
Yeah, they're overrated as shit.
Yeah.
A lot of those in the college game day, the crew was picking their national championship game. National champions.
I had Oregon winning the national championship.
Oh, there you go. You're part of the part of the team. But we're going back to winners.
Washington State.
JMU and UVA.
Washington State. Yeah, nice day for the state of Virginia. But Washington State, look, what did we say? Last year, Wisconsin was the first Power 5 team since 1997 to play at Pullman in the non-con, and they lost. The team that did in 97 was Illinois, and they lost. Well, Texas Tech made a trip there this year.
Just got slapped. Lost.
There's something about that shit. And Washington State, I think, could be in for a special season, man. So
I would love it.
Let's go.
I would love it.
Let's go. Give me that as like a big time win.
Let's honor Mike Leach this year.
Hell yeah. Folks, we will be back Monday morning talking college football. Enjoy. Appreciate you. And subscribe. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast on other NFL stuff, even though they had that silly ass kickoff that we should delete.
Terrible.
Check it all out. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Jump on over there. Subscribe. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Also, if you can go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. That would help. Also, check out the College Basketball Experience. Ryan McIntyre, Moneyline Mac, Noah Beanick doing conference previews already. Season's right around the corner.
They've been going hard all summer.
Yes. Oh, Mac's been killing it with the coaching interviews. Yeah. Check out the College Basketball Experience, College Baseball Experience too, and the Stadium Heads podcast. Myself, Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. We talk about the history of college football stadiums and all of Michael's travels, going to so many different games. If you're not familiar with his work, check him out on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour. But check out the Stadium Heads podcast, youtube.com/@Stadium Heads SGPN.
What an excellent addition to the SGPN team, Michael Barker.
Yes, he's fantastic.
Cool to have a dude that is just
he's boots on the ground.
Yeah, he's the boots on the ground there.
Let's go. Folks, till next time, this is the College Football Experience Week 2 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.